Anytime you got Blaze Riorden, the best goalie in the world,
Pehlke's power rankings.
do I think there's an argument to be made for the Whipsnakes? Yeah. Do I think a freaking moron like yourself would try to make it? Yeah, but I'm not that moron.
Traynor's got the hot hand. He feeds Dixon.
Give this kid the ball. Give him the ball. Can we just get him the ball, please? Guys, let's just get that man the ball.
Welcome back to episode 23 of the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show, presented by Duke Cannon on the Lacrosse Network. What other place would we rather be than the hub, the Lacrosse Network? Crazy week. Crazy week. We're going to dive right into our biggest takeaways, Dukes. I want you to start us off hot, fresh. Let's get right into the meat and potatoes of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, fade the kids. It's alive and well. Chaos.
It's alive. Well, we're going to start selling merch, I think. Fade the kids merch.
We should have Fade the
FTK.
Kids merch.
FTK.
Mitch, can you print us a shirt, a Fade the Kids shirt?
It's going to be Fade the Kids with a frog on the side.
Yeah, probably with like Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show, like the name slathered
back.
all over the thing.
Why are we fading the kids, Dukes?
Yeah, because, I mean, the kids in the PLL Nations app, I mean, any single time they pick against one team, the other team covers the spread. It's like 15-4 or 5 on the year now. I have to do the exact math on it, but chaos. I think 97% of people pick the Cannons in this one on the PLL app, which is absolutely absurd. Chaos, obviously, anytime you got Blaze Riorden, the best goalie in the world on your side, another 20-plus save performance. Mitch, I saw this earlier, I think from PLL stats. Blaze Riorden has 9 20-plus save games in his career.
Wow.
Every other goalie in the PLL combined has 10.
Wow. Jesus, combined, folks. That's pretty crazy to think about. And I think that kind of segues us into it naturally. Did we see a tweet from a opponent, an enemy podcast, saying potentially that Blaze wasn't in the running? Can we expand there?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an enemy. I mean, I like those guys a lot.
That's not us as an enemy.
They're a friendly
Enemy
rival.
is crazy. That's a friend of the program right there. Calling him
You
an
know,
enemy
Scotty,
is
I mean,
crazy.
he's been on the program. Shout out
Yeah,
Dr.
that
Royster.
is
But what did his
crazy
tweet
talk.
exactly say?
It wasn't necessarily a tweet. They were having a conversation.
Is Liam Entenmann the best goalie in the PLL right now?
It's him or Brett Dobson. I argue with people all the time. Take the names out of it. Is Brett the battle over the next like 5 to 7 years is between Brett Dobson and Liam Entenmann. And Colin Kirst is he's going to be in the running. But it, like Will just said, Liam Entenmann's low is Blaze. We saw what Blaze's low is when he's not playing well.
I just think the other game, the Archers and Atlas game, was kind of billed by the league as this great showdown of two great goalies in Liam Entenmann and Brett Dobson. And if you watch that game, it was a low-scoring defensive game. Good game by both of them. They were both around 50% in that game. But it left out Brett Dobson, or it left out Blaze Riorden, and I think people just kind of forgot. Like he had benched himself twice before this week. He had the one big game against the Outlaws where he broke the record, 25 saves, but he was just kind of, a little recency bias. People were forgetting about him, and a lot of people were turning the page and starting to say, Dobson versus Entenmann, that's the battle for the best goalie in the world.
I think also going off what Kev just said, I think it's still fair to say, honestly, that Liam Entenmann and Brett Dobson this year have been the two best goalies in the PLL. But when you talk about the best goalie in the world, Blaze Riorden's earned that respect. He reminds me a little bit of like LeBron James.
Yes.
When there's MVP guys coming up. It's SGA, Jokic, all these young guys, or Tatum gets thrown into there. It's like, oh, are they the best player in the NBA? It's like, no, it's still probably LeBron James. We're getting so fatigued by seeing what Blaze does. His extra.
We call it desensitized.
Right.
That's great word for you.
Great vocabulary word. And like these performances that are just so ridiculous by Blaze, we just get like so numb to. And we have to take a step back and be like, no, he's still that dude. If he wants to be the best goalie in the PLL this season, he most likely can be. It's just obviously from what we've seen so far, I don't think it'd be fair to bill him as that. But he might have the two best performances of the year, which makes this whole thing pretty self-contradictory.
I mean, the crazy thing is last week's game, if that was probably any other goalie in the league, it's crazy on socials, all over Twitter and stuff, but that's just like a normal day for Blaze. Like, we don't bat an eye. When Blaze is on his best, that's just how Blaze is, right? Like, dominating like that. Obviously, he set the record, 3 weeks ago in week 2, 25 saves, most record in a PLL game before, so Yeah, I mean, I always, whenever I think about best goalie in the world, it's always going to be Blaze. I think until he retires, till those cleats are, put on the 50-yard line, he's the best goalie in the world. And I think about Doogs last year, going back to the game in Gillette in the quarterfinals, and he was like, look, like, they have Blaze Riorden, so, like, they're never out of any of these games.
Anything
So, like, you can't get him out.
He's the one, like, even against the Cannons this week, I texted the group chat, I was like, I really want to take the Chaos. It almost would be, like, idiotic to pick the Chaos in this game, given what they've shown. It's not, you don't want to go, like, too, like, crazy in these pickups and be like, I'm going completely off the wall here. But do you ever, like, never once have I ever picked against the Chaos and been like, well, I think they absolutely will lose this game. I've never put, like, there's no chance the Chaos will lose a game because of the man that they have in that cage since 2019. And for what it's worth, he's the best goalie I've ever seen, bar none, college, professional, everything. He's the best goalie I've ever seen.
Okay, but hold on. This is going into now my takeaway, and I wanted to surprise you guys with this because I want to hear raw reactions. In your opinion, and Hoagie and I have talked about this off camera, do you think Blaze is the best pro goalie of all time?
Yes. To me, he is.
I think that, yeah. That's what he just said.
He's maybe the best goalie in any sport I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And,
we're talking
hold on,
it's
but
time
dude,
to bring in hockey goalies, soccer goalies.
You just put in college in there. Do you think he's the best college goalie as well?
No, I mean, if you're just saying the best goaltending performance I've ever seen, it is what Blaze Riorden is currently doing from 2019 onward. Self-admittedly, I didn't really watch him in the MLL. I'm not even sure how many games he played in the MLL. But I remember if you told me back in, like, 2016, that Matty Ice, Matty Cav game at Hofstra, you'd be like, Blaze Riorden is going to be the best goalie you see in your lifetime. I would be like, who is Blaze Riorden? Like, in what world was it? The guy I just watched at Albany. There's no chance that guy's gonna be the best goalie I've ever seen. So for him to kind of make this transformation and kind of come into this next level of, like, I expect him to save, like, every single shot that.
And to kind of talk to your point, like the college days, like he was a little overshined with the Thompsons, right? They thought all the Thompsons do this stuff on the offensive end. Like they had him in net. He balanced it out from an offense and defense perspective. But Kev, for you, I'm honestly kind of shocked with the amount of knowledge and how old you are. I'm surprised it's not a guy from back in the day.
No. I mean, if you look at the stretch of dominance for Blaze Riorden, it's like goalie of the year every year. There's 1 year in the PLL's existence where it wasn't him, and it was Bernlaw. It was kind of that weird year where Blaze didn't win it. He was still good, but not the best goalie apparently that year. So I think it's more open than ever before, what Duke said. Like, it's starting to become a debate. It hasn't been a debate for a while. And what's exciting is there's a lot of names in there. You could throw in Dobson. You could throw in Entenmann. You could throw in a Colin Kirst. Now you could even throw in a Logan McNaney. So I do think that Blaze probably looks around and feels like his seat is getting a little hotter. But I'm super curious to see Duke's MVP power rankings later on, because I think when you talk about when you take a player out, like, can you imagine a team that would be more screwed if you remove one player than the Chaos removing Blaze Riorden? Like, I can't think of a guy who's more valuable to their team's success, although limited amount of success, than Blaze Riorden is to the Carolina Chaos.
Oh, seriously, I think about it sometimes.
Do you want me to respond to that really quick, or do you want me to save it for what I'm going to say?
No, we gotta save it. We gotta keep the viewers here. It's gonna be great though. Stick around.
You know what I think about, Mitch? I think about when Mike and Paul and them were making these rosters back in the day in 2019 when they were creating these teams that the cities was like, no one knows how lucky. Like, all right, where are we gonna throw Blaze Riorden? Like, all right, he's on the Chaos. Like, how lucky the Chaos got that they just tossed him Blaze Riorden. So I don't know if whoever 𝐂𝐄𝐂 now, you had Towers for so long. Are they slipping Paul 100 under the table, being like, appreciate it for giving us Chaos? I would love to know how those rosters got constructed or how they built that out at some point. But I mean, I always think about that. I'm like, damn, like the Chaos, they started with Blaze from the start, so they've had him from the jump, and how big of a prize and weapon that is for just his whole career now, having him in that.
100%, yeah. And I think, Hoagie, let's stick with you. Like, give us your biggest takeaway from this past weekend.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is I just think the Archers might not be as good as we thought they were. That was kind of my biggest thing. I've been on this show. I've loved what the Archers have done, from past years, and they were my championship pick. And every week I've been in belief of, they're going to figure it out. They've had a lot of injuries. Grant Amon's missed some time. Traynor, who I think is one of the most underrated midfielders in the world, he's been out with injury. So it's kind of like Dobson's had, the banged up issue. So it's kind of like, all right, when they get healthy, they're going to figure it out. But they've had trouble finishing games. Another one this weekend against the Atlas. They couldn't finish that game in the fourth quarter. And, for me, it kind of feels a lot like Notre Dame from this past year where they just didn't put it together, right? Like Notre Dame, back-to-back champs, going for the three-peat. Archers, same thing, back-to-back champs, going for the three-peat. Everyone kind of like, they're going to do it. They're good. They got it. They're going to figure it out. Just give them some time. Let it mesh, just like we said with Notre Dame, and they never put it together, Notre Dame, in the end. And I'm starting to think that might be what happened with the Archers. We're talking about right now, they're going to get the injuries back, and then the offense has been slow from week 1 on. And I'm like, you know what? Once they get, the cohesion, Schreiber feels a little, gets back from his injury and it's going to get better. But we're halfway through the season at this point, and the offense hasn't gotten better. The injuries, it doesn't seem to matter. And I'm starting to question if the Archers are ever really going to figure it out. Could we see them possibly? This is crazy, but could the Archers possibly miss the playoffs in the second half of the season if they don't figure out this offense?
There's a lot to unpack there, but I want to give you a brief second, Dukes. As a Notre Dame fan, some would say potentially the mascot. What are your thoughts?
I mean, who cares what I have to say? I mean, again, they won the ACC regular. They won the ACC regular season title. If that's a down year for Notre Dame, I mean, God be it. Like Ohio State had an all-time season.
No, 100% for sure. This isn't a college debate. I'm talking about on this scene right here, from Hoagie's standpoint.
Right. For
do you agree
Archers,
or disagree?
I would buy the Archer stock right now because again, I think that Matt Moore.
So you disagree?
In what? Yeah, I just said I'd buy the Archer stock 100%. I mean, I don't know if I'd necessarily disagree with this assessment 5 games in, but I'm not going to sit here and panic about the Archers. I think Matt Moore should get back to healthy. I think that I think Bates kind of hit the nail on the head where he's like, we don't really have guys that are beating their men and whipping the ball around. Tom's not been Tom this year for sure, but I do think that Matt Moore is more critical to the Archers' success than he ever got credit for. I've always thought that. And then Mac O'Keefe can't be the same player that he is. It doesn't open up Fieldsy as much, even though that he had a great game. I almost want to see Grant Amon's been reigning midfielder of the year. I'd like to see him potentially get bumped down to attack. For the
Agree. Hard agree. I feel like too much of their offense is sit around and watch Connor Fields and hope he does something spectacular. But the reason that I'm not out on the Archers, and Hoagie, I kind of want you to go are you out on the Archers, first of all?
I'm not out on them yet. No, I'm not fully out on them.
Because you've been saying,
this is more, I'm not out yet. This is more, my biggest takeaway from the weekend is it's creeped in my head now that, wait, they might not figure this out. I've been very confident from the start that they just need to buy some time, skate by some wins, and then they're going to get hot in the last 2-3 weeks of the season heading into the playoff run. Now I'm starting to have doubts on if that is capable of happening. So I'm not out yet, but the thought is coming, and in a week or two's time, my opinion might change there. It's more just I've had no worrisome each week, even after some bad losses. I've been like, it's fine. They're going to figure it out. This was the first week where I was like, wait, they might not figure it out.
Here's why I have no doubts. They still have the best defense in the league. Only 10 points allowed per game. They got the best big game goalie, playoff goalie of the past 2 years, manning that defense. And they really still control their destiny in the West, Hoagie. 3 teams in the West are 2-3, so they're only really trailing the Outlaws. And they have a gigantic buffer against the last place Chaos, 13 goals in the scoring differential. It would have to be a complete meltdown for them to kind of miss the playoffs, in my opinion. And I think defense wins championships. Even if your offense isn't clicking right now, give me Brett Dobson in net for the quarter, semis, and potentially the championship. I'd feel good about my chances. They do need to figure something out on offense. I agree with Doogs. I would put Grant Amon at X a little bit.
I'm worried about them playing the Chaos, though. The offense has not been there all year.
No.
I don't agree with that either.
You cannot be the Archers, the back-to-back champs, a team that I'm not saying anything. I'm not doubting Blaze or what he could perform. But I mean, this is the Archers with one of the best goalies in the league, with one of the best defenses we've seen since the inception of the league.
I completely agree, but they've scored single digits in multiple games this year. You're telling me if Blaze doesn't have a heroic performance like Saturday or like he did in week 2 in Charlotte, that can't be another loss where the Chaos pick it up. The Chaos are going to pick up some wins here at the back end of the year, whether we think they're bad or not. The Chaos are going to find ways to win a couple more games, right? So if I'm looking at games that they can possibly win, I think the Chaos have a better chance of beating a team like the Archers than they do beating a team like the Outlaws, the Atlas, the Water Dogs. Looking at what the Archers' offense have been with a hot Blaze, that's not going to be an easy game for Utah. That's just a fact.
I don't think any game in this league will be easy. But
there's no easy game. But if you're telling me right now,
the Archers should be like, wait, watch out for the Chaos. It's like, no, the Archers need to look at themselves with the top half of the league rather than the bottom half of the league. And this isn't like, again, that I don't think that Blaze could single-handedly win them that game. He easily could. But I don't think if you're the Archers that you can be like scared of them. And going back just to like what the Archers' problem, I mean, Sis has a real problem. I love Sis, and I know he's a friend of the program, but like he's at 36.5% now on the year. I'm not blaming him solely for the face-off woes, but like I saw something where the Atlas had 6.5 more minutes of possession than the Archers. That cannot happen. You're never going to win a lacrosse game, especially in this league, when you give up a differential like that. I think that obviously is a huge worry. And then going back to what we're saying about the attack line, 2021 or 2020 bubble, Connor Fields runner-up, I think, in the MVP voting, correct? After the 2019 season, Kev, he goes into the bubble in Salt Lake City, one of the best players in the league, and the Chaos have 0 wins going into the playoffs. I'm pretty sure. They bench him. He doesn't play a minute in the playoffs. Chaos make the championship game. It became this storyline like, are the Chaos better without Connor Fields? Clearly they were. The ball was moving better. Now, Connor Fields redeemed himself. He came out of the box initially for the Archers. Now he's at the starting attack group again. And obviously we saw what he could do in the past couple seasons. There's no doubt about the talent that he is. What I will say, though, is when Connor Fields tends to feel like he has to be the hero, that's the worst version of Connor Fields as a team lacrosse player.
Yep.
Agreed. The ball isn't whipping around. He's a bit of a black hole. He does make some incredible plays, like the behind the back that he snuck in on Entenmann. But ultimately, it's not how you win PLO games. With like,
right. And this isn't. I don't even say. I'm being a little bit pulling back on this take a little bit because he kind of has to play hero ball in a way right now because no one else can beat their guy. Yeah. And this goes back to why they need like a Grant Ament, a Matt Moore back at the attack group. I just don't think that you can have 2 non-Dodgers in. The rookie Merkslinger with Mac O'Keefe. I mean, I think he was getting shorted half the game.
It just feels so stagnant and so slow. It feels like
what do you think is the
on.
biggest difference, though? Obviously, from last year to this year, there wasn't much change on the offensive side, but obviously you have Schreiber's injury from last year, which could have shook up some things. But like, what do you think the biggest issue is this year with the Archers offense?
Matt Moore. You need to have two people in this offense that can really beat their defenders and get this ball humming for the Mac O'Keefes. When Mac O'Keefe isn't giving you that like scoring threat and he's not shooting the ball at least like 7 times a game, I think that it speaks to your ball movement not being spectacular.
Hoagie, Kev, do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that because I feel like, you do need another guy to be able to initiate, right? Like a lot of times the ball, it feels like when you watch the Archers, it kind of just whips around and then someone throws it a shot late in the shot clock, and then they're either scoring or it's going the other way. But I do think the point that Doogs made, obviously Sis, we love Sis, friend of the program, but he's been huge the last 2 years at the faceoff X for them. Those numbers are way down from where they've been in years past, which is an underrated thing that's helped them so far, right? And I think the defense is always going to be there. Dauber's obviously one of the best big game goalies in the league. Graham Hossack's one of the best defenders in the league. They're good. They're going to be there. It's just the question for me is, Tom's kind of had a bit of a quiet year, right? Like he had that one great game, I believe, was it against the Redwoods maybe 2 weeks ago where he had like 5 points. But other than that, like I don't think he's fully gotten back to form yet from the injury from the end of last year. And, Connor Fields, kind of like we talked about, he's hot and cold. He had that great week 1 in Albany where he was unbelievable, and then he was quiet. And Mac O'Keefe was quiet for the first couple weeks. So, look, Mitch, we talk about all the time, party starters, right? Having guys who can be able to initiate and create slides, create moves. Matt Moore is a guy who needs to do that and is a guy who can do that. That is one of the keys. I think, Doogs, you made a great point there.
And one more thing that I think is very slept on this year. I thought that Trey LeClaire last year really stepped in to be one of the best midfielders in the league. Shout out Ohio State. Probably, you know what, I'll even say it, stamp it, my favorite Buckeye of all time. Trey LeClaire, not even kidding, I love watching Trey LeClaire play. And that includes you two. That includes
what about
you
James Hogan?
No, it includes you too. When we talk
Trey
about like
blew off my finger right here in practice, right here. It's still deformed to this day. Dead serious. We're doing a one-on-one drill where like you have a throw to the attackman and then the defender has to turn around, run around the cone, and then you square up and they have to like shoot and you have to practice like trying to block the shot. And Trey followed through and the stick of his head hit my glove right here, ripped half my finger off. I had to leave practice, get surgery on it, whatever. But yeah, Trey LeClaire, hardest shot I've ever seen. He's been unbelievable. He actually led all midfielders to PLO last year in goals during the regular season. Offensive midfielders, it was crazy. Trey's been bingoed all around the field. I don't know if that's the right term, but he's been asked to do so many things. He's played some attack. He's played some mid. He's played some defensive midfielder at some point in his career. So, he's, Ryan Boyle mentioned it last year. I actually watched some of the PLL stats from last year from the championship game, some highlights, and he said, I thought Trey Leclerc is the key to this offense, and he mentioned it a couple weeks ago in the Redwoods game. Like, Trey Leclerc might be that missing piece that ignites this offense. So they need him back. I think he should be back, I want to say 2 weeks from now, Mitch, maybe. They said 4 to 6 weeks, I believe, at the beginning of the year. So we're creeping up on when he could be back, but I'm interested to see how that offense looks once Trey returns.
I think you mean pinballed, but I like bingoed. Let's use that.
Bingoed,
Like
yeah.
bingoed? Yeah.
I like that. I like that. And Kev, I want you to finish off with your biggest takeaways.
Dude, my biggest takeaway is natural grass is awesome. Bounce shots galore this weekend. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but there were more 2-pointers this weekend. I don't know if you guys noticed than any other weekend. There were 8 this weekend. And I think it turned back the clock for a couple of guys. Sergio Perkovic was one. We just saw more 2-pointers. Romar saw some go. He's like, I'm going to let these fly on day 2. Chris Cavanaugh found his range from 2. The Chaos won their game on a 2-pointer. Ray Dirth on the run. I just thought those plays were so awesome. There was also the one, did you guys see the Dyson Williams one? Where it was like almost like a knuckleball that like went over Entenmann's head. Like only on a grass field does that happen. And I think it just like brings out more of like so much of professional sports is controlled and perfect and pristine. And when you get to like this random game is played on grass, there's an element of uncertainty, a weirdness that is injected into the game. I thought it made it so much fun. Sam English got his first 2 goals of the season on bounce shots. I got a question for you guys. There are only 5, as of 2023, there are only 5 teams in Division I lacrosse who play on natural grass. How many can you name?
Virginia, North Carolina,
Duke.
Yep.
Duke. Marquette.
Silence. You're never going to get Marquette. Yes, when they don't play in the bubble.
Yeah,
grass.
I think I always get them in the bubble. Who's the 5th?
Utah.
It's a conference.
Utah.
I always think of the stadium.
So wouldn't you be
the
surprised?
stadium,
I don't know.
yeah.
How did you guys feel as lacrosse players? Did you prefer playing on grass or turf?
I mean, Mitch and
I'm a
I only
turf
played
guy.
on grass one time in our career. It was when we played at North Carolina. Every other time we
Yeah.
played on turf. So
What was
that
the
was our
score?
only time playing.
20-piece.
That was our only time playing on.
Corey,
we
roll
beat,
the highlights.
we beat UNC 20-5 that year
Roll
when they
the
were like top 5 in the
highlights.
country. Yeah, roll those clips for the Buckeye fans out
Just
there.
keep
Come on
going.
now, Mitch.
We'll tell you when to stop.
By the way, a little sneak. Did you end up listening to the episode last week, Mitch? Did you get to hear Jared Bernhardt say if Mitchell put down the YouTube camera?
Did he actually say? Because I was trying to skip to it.
For the viewers at home, after the interview, Mitch froze out, and I told Mitch, I was like, dude, you missed a great interview. Bernhardt said that if you put down the vlog camera, you could have been an All-American. And Mitch really was like, wait, did he really say that?
Oh, I was juiced up, but he didn't say that, did he?
No.
Because I was looking. I won't say like very tedious, but I was looking because I was going to go. I was an immediate Instagram story, and I was searching.
Yeah,
and,
you probably had intern Duncan like scouring the internet, being like,
He
"Can you
had
find
Duncan
this?"
on. They were
God.
driving to the next camp, and he
I mean,
had
the
Duncan
one time I
looking through the
wanted to
thing.
really be on an interview, had connections with this cat, wanted to pick his brain, played against him multiple times at Hilton Courtyard Marriott Wi-Fi. Thanks a lot.
I'll tell you
but
what, the
Dukes,
2 bombs, though, the
thank
2
you.
bombs.
Appreciate that.
2
Yeah,
bombs.
Mitch, you know, I always got to keep you honest, but Kev, I do agree with you. I love natural grass. I love the MLS stadiums. I think that like a good cut of grass is superior to any turf field out there.
Oh, give me Kentucky bluegrass all day.
Yeah, the
Hoagie, what are you
grass
about to say about 2
all
pointers?
day. Rose Bowl,
I'll
college
take any
football.
grass. I know Nestler will too.
Come on, college football, the Rose Bowl, that's the best venue in sports, that beautiful grass out there. But the 2-point bomb is huge. Like, people don't even realize how big those 2-point goals are. Like this weekend at halftime of the Water Dogs Redwoods game, the Redwoods led 7-5 at the half. If you took away the 2-point goals, it would have been a 5-4 lead for the Water Dogs at half. So they ended up being down 2 instead of being up 1 just because we have the 2-point shot in the game. So that shot and that 2-point shot is like week after week. I mean, you give one of those up, you're like, oh, dang. Because it really is a game changer. It's a dagger if you're a defender, but then if you're an offensive guy, like it can switch momentums in games hitting those 2s. It's
also
it's
demoralizing because when you're in like that Water Dogs, when I'm watching, I'm like, well, the Water Dogs offense clearly looks better than the Redwoods, but they're losing this game because of the 2-pointers. And it's just, you kind of have to keep that when I'm watching the game. I kind of have to keep that in my mind because if you just score watch, you're like, oh, like the Redwoods offense is looking good. It's like, or do they kind of just happen to get a little, like, I'm not saying 2-pointers all luck, but sometimes you
Did
don't.
they just happen to hit a couple? I agree, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like Mitch, that's like a 7. You would be a 7. You're down 7-5. You're Philly when you should have been up 5-4. If they would say we took out the 2-pointer completely, and it was just 1-point goals only like college. It's crazy to think about. I'd love to know how many times that is in the games.
I feel like it's the biggest thing is missing from the Cannons this year. Is like they're not as lethal from the 2-point range as they were. They're only on pace for 10 this year. They had 16 last year.
They had the PLO record. Was it 5 in one game? Is the record of 2-point shots? Crazy. Yeah,
and they just lost to the Chaos, who found a couple 2-pointers.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Perkovic and Dearth.
Their only real threat from 2 is like that consistently is Campbell.
Yeah.
Even Marcus won't. Like Marcus can shoot from 2, but he doesn't really.
He rarely shoots from 2 though.
Yeah.
Right.
Mitch, do you smell that?
I will. Wait.
Is it?
Oh.
Did you put? Did you?
I got
apply
my
it?
midnight
Did
swim on. If you guys are smelling it through the
midnight
camera.
swim.
I can't
What's
hear.
midnight swim?
Can you smell the midnight swim? Duke Cannon, Mitch. Duke Cannon. Work
I can
harder, smell
the
better.
Buffalo
Moment of the week.
Trace infused body wash from Duke Cannon. Work harder, smell better. Moment of the week. You know we got to stick with them. Best goalie of all time, Blaze. Fourth quarter shutout. Bing bong. Save against Holman. You know he couldn't let it happen again. We saw the replays. We saw the SportsCenter top 10 of Holman. He had to get his get back a little bit. We couldn't let Holman do it twice. But I don't think it was really an argument. The work harder, smell better moment of the week. Obviously, Blaze's save on Marcus.
Yeah, I think you could just pick any one of them. I mean, especially in that fourth quarter. Did he even let up a goal in the fourth quarter? I think he had a shutout.
Nah, goose egg. Take your pick, Mitch. Whatever save you want, that'll be the moment.
There was like 5 in a row at the end of that.
Corey will just do a montage of every save he had in the fourth quarter.
Just
go
The one on Marcus was so sick, though, because we had just seen Marcus pull out that diving goal to beat the Archers a couple weeks ago. And so to see him do it again, 90 seconds left in the game, and Blaze just reads it the whole way. And I thought the sickest part, too, he was in the breakdown booth or whatever they're calling it this year, and they're asking him, like, oh, were you baiting him low? And he's like, dude, there's no thinking involved. It's all instincts. And then he said something like, when the ball's coming at you 100 miles per hour and your index finger is the shape of a Z. I thought Blaze was kind of revealing a little bit there, like, hey, man, I'm banged up and I'm playing, that way. So I thought it was tough.
I love that
100%.
breakdown booth, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw when they showed Marcus Holman when he got his 500th career point. They had him go in the breakdown booth, Mitch, and they showed, it's like, you've seen the breakdown booth, obviously, where they can see on the side, and they showed Marcus his first career goal when he scored with the Ohio Machine when he was a rookie, and then like that to his 500th career point. And you could see like how happy he lighted up in his face, like, wow, that was so cool. Like it'd be like, Mitch, if they showed you your first point at Riverside as a freshman, you're like, damn, I remember that moment. That was sick. Like so cool that they have that little thing. Marcus's face lit up when he saw that goal.
Dude, I thought the sickest part was when they had Sergio Perkovic and he was like this on the breakdown booth.
Yeah.
And then they had Hiltz and he was like this.
I will say one more thing before we move on, Mitch, for the chaos, just as we're on that chaos train. Justin Inacio at the faceoff X has been unbelievable for him the last 2 weeks. And
don't forget about J.I.
Don't forget about J.I. I'll tell you what, he was on the Archers.
Second favorite Buckeye of all time.
He's on the Archers, obviously out of the league.
Buckeyes.
Out of the league for a couple years.
James Hogan on it.
I mean,
if we don't crack top 5 as your co-host here, it's sickening.
Yeah.
Trey LeClaire.
Yeah, give us your top 5 Buckeyes.
Jeff Henrik.
Ooh, Henrik, that's a good pick.
Both of those guys.
What about this guy, Zoo? What about this guy?
We're gonna go. Who did I just say?
Jeff Henrik.
Justin Inacio. Justin Inacio.
Okay. There's great 2 spots left. Just
Marcus Hudgens said hi to me at a bar one time.
Okay.
Really nice guy. Yeah. 5. Garden City's greatest. Matt Borges.
Wow, Borges. That's a good pick.
Are we even cracking the top 10?
I mean, and then you can't forget Kinger. Kinger's number 6.
Yeah, Kinger.
Can't forget him.
I mean, Nick Myers, what he's done with his blood, sweat, and tears, he comes in at number 7.
Okay.
Mitch, some other legends.
You can't lose in the first round of the NCAA 20 without some blood, sweat, and tears.
How are you going to forget about Ryan Tarafanko? How are you going to forget about Mitch? Austin Shanks, Johnny Pearson, Eric Fidel, Jake Withers. Jake Withers, an underrated Buckeye right there.
Number 8,
James
Jake
Hogan.
Withers.
Jake Withers.
Mitch
That's
Pehlke.
another.
Number 9, Ben Randall.
Ben Randall. 2 water dogs right there.
Number 10,
Colin Shell.
Steven Zubacic.
Yeah, look at that right there. Look at that.
Look, he's got it on the wall. Hey, comment below if you like Hoagie's new setup. You might have to keep it there, Dr. Zup in the back. But now we're going to rock to a new segment. This might be week in, week out. Pehlke's Power Rankings. I'm going to go through my 1 through 8 here. Really talk about, the why and the how and the when. I'm going to go through my 1 through 8, and then Doogs, I want to hear your why, how, and when, and your thoughts on this, okay? Number 1 in the league. We had him on last week. Jared Bernhardt and the Denver Outlaws. I think they look great right now. I think it was a missing piece. We talked about it. We had him on. You guys didn't see my face for a reason. Courtyard Marriott Wi-Fi sucks. Number 2, the Maryland Whipsnakes. My squad. I mean, I had to pop them up there. You might not think from the record, oh, this and that. They're behind a game. The points per game are there. Number 2. Number 3, we're going with Dukes' squad. Boston Cannons. Marcus Holman. Asher's not playing where we thought, but he's going to get there. Number 4, we're going Water Dogs. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, obviously, when CJ comes into play here in a couple weeks. 5, I'm going Atlas. 6, Redwoods. 7, Archers. And last, did you guess it? Did we see it coming? The Carolina Chaos. Dukes, initial thoughts.
I don't hate your list as much as some people might.
Why?
It's definitely worse than Quint Kesnick's the other. By the way, justice for Quint. Justice for Quint. Justice for Quint. Well, Quint, got ripped apart for saying that the Redwoods weren't above any of these teams. He put them firmly at 6, and everyone had a freak out over it. Shout out to Quint. The guy knows ball. The guy, that's somebody. Yeah, dude. I mean,
the only issue is that Quint did have the Outlaws at last, so.
He did.
The only issue was when he hopped in cage, he looked better than Doogs at 22.
He
was jacked.
Yeah, he is jacked.
You cannot disagree
No,
with
dude,
that.
we saw the Kai the goalie challenge. I mean, you were 2 yards away. That's just where Mitchell likes to shoot
Pop
from.
up Nesty's tweet.
Yeah. No,
You guys get your invites yet?
Yeah.
I got my invite.
You got the invite?
I got an invite too.
Mitch,
Mitch, you didn't get your...
Duncan, can you read my DMs for me? Okay, I'm too busy.
I just got a reply to my tweet that said, Hoagie, you're up next, with a handshake emoji, and I was like, anytime.
I like that.
I'm scheduled for Wednesday.
Dukes, keep going, though.
No, I do like your list. I think that I wouldn't have yours exactly like that. I would probably put the 2 East Coast teams still ahead. Look, the Cannons I'd put at number 1, just given that I think they ran into an absolutely stellar goalie performance last week in Blaze Riorden. I wouldn't really take anything really away from the Cannons as much as give credit for Blaze. Like, they still put up 12 in a performance where Blaze had 20-plus saves. Like, it was one of the best performances of the year, if not one of the best performances in PLL history. So I'm still not going to – I'm buying all the Cannon stock if you can. I'm going Cannons, Water Dogs, and then the Outlaws. The Outlaws sneaky might be coming into – fruition of one of the best teams in the league, but I'm not totally there yet. I have to see a little bit more from them. And then I think the Atlas are playing some really good ball, followed by, I'm still going to keep the Archers. I think I'm going to have the Whips. I'm going to probably follow it off with like my 6, 7, 8 is probably Whips, Redwoods, Chaos, honestly.
Yeah, so you just said you didn't hate it, but then you put the Whips at 6, 7, or 8.
I mean, Mitch, you want me to tell you? You want me to keep going about this? Is the number 6 to be number 2 next week? There's a lot of parity in this league.
So much
you're a nice guy. You're a nice guy.
Every single team is 3-2, 2-3. Do I think there's an argument to be made for the Whipsnakes? Yeah. Do I think a freaking moron like yourself would try to make it? Yeah, but I'm not that moron. Not today. Not this week. Maybe next week I'll be that moron that's like,
You'll be
the Whipsnakes are the number 1 team.
Fans, lock him in his next week, Hoagie. Thoughts on my power rankings? Thoughts on the Pehlke power rankings?
I'm spot on with Dukes there. I still have the Cannons on the number 1 team in my power rankings as of right now. Look, they've been the most consistent team all year long. I think this was a mix of obviously Blaze being the best goalie in the world and having an amazing game, but I also think the Cannons might have taken this game a little lighter than they should have, right? They see what happened a week ago. The Chaos looked embarrassed like a high school team, and then, the Cannons have been the best team all year, and they're like, we can just show up and win, and that's not how it works in this league, right? So I think it was a little bit of arrogance on their side, not as prepared, not as locked in. But the Cannons, to me, still through 5 weeks, I don't see how you can't say they're the best team in the league in terms of what they've done. Consistency, I have them at 1. The Whips, I think they're high right now. Obviously, with Stags and how that team was looking a couple weeks ago, time will tell. But to have them at 2 right now is a little bit crazy. Mine, I have 1 Outlaws. I have the Atlas at 2. I have the Outlaws at 3. Kind of like Duke said, I love what the Outlaws are. And they probably have the highest ceiling trajectory-wise maybe out of any of these teams of stock that I would buy. But I've only seen it for 3 weeks, right? So I need to see it more than 3 weeks to know if this is really going to be sustainable long-term and how I really feel about them. So we'll know more about them down the line. I got Philly at 4. I still have the Archers at 5 as well. I'm not off that Archers bandwagon yet. I still have trust and faith in them, and then I'm going to round it out with 6 Redwoods, 7 Whips, and then Chaos at 8 for me. So me and Dukes, I feel like, are kind of on a similar wave with how we're feeling with these teams, but just like Duke said, I mean, the team could be 7 this week, and 2 weeks from now they're the best team in the league.
Wait,
So
so
pair
it's
on
a
this
such-
week.
hold on. You put the Whips at 7
Yeah.
below the Archers, and you just had talked about in your takeaway the Archers potentially having one of the biggest problems in the league.
Yeah. So, what do you mean? Having one of the best problems in the league. I
Elaborate.
said their offense.
Well, yeah. Then how would you put the Archers above the Whips then?
I think the Archers are better than the Whips. The Archers beat the Whips, and they have a better record.
No,
Or
I thought
they
you just
same
put the
record.
I think you just put the Archers at 7.
I put the
No.
Archers at 5. The Whips at 7.
Okay. That's my fault. I read that wrong. I read that wrong.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
All right, Kev, finish us out here. What are your thoughts?
You're looking
on my
at your
rankings?
list, Mitch. I think that's why you got confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna pick apart your list a little bit, Mitch. Whips, you got them too high. Everyone has said it. I think it's a little bit of recency bias. You know,
Look, the same
last
thing
time we
happened
saw
last
them,
year, guys. You know, I rode with my dogs. You didn't think they were going to make the championship.
You had them
Maryland
going
guys
0-2
were
one of these
born and
weekends.
raised in Baltimore. Like it is what it is.
Can I
I'm a-
interject really quick and
Yeah,
just
sure.
say that I think that I talked about this in the NCAA with the college lacrosse when we were talking about like the Notre Dame thing, and just it's overall with like how a season can be defined. If you win 2 games in this league and you make the playoffs, one team doesn't make it, right? Is it still that way this year?
Yeah, one team in
7
each
teams-
conference doesn't make it. Yeah, so
Right,
6 of the
okay.
8 make it. Yeah.
6 out of the 8 make it. Then once you get in, you win 2 games and you're in the championship game.
yeah.
Yes, correct.
So,
and you know,
it's-
Stags, the veteran roster. Look, you guys say it time and time again. You clown on me, but look,
The roster's
what are we
not
talking
that
about?
veteran
We're
right
playing
now,
this clip in
Mitch.
September and be like, dude, Pehlke knows.
The roster
Pehlke's
is
on
young
it.
blood, Mitch.
They might be the
veterans
youngest
are the
team in the
problem.
league
They
at this
got
point.
vets that are lurking around. They got vets that are lurking around. We got the Stags record. It's about to have the most wins in pro lacrosse. Rambo's not going anywhere. Like, I mean, guys. No one's
Well, the rest of your power rankings. I'm
Crickets
down.
from the peanut gallery here.
Might be.
You have
no idea.
Save this clip. Save this clip.
You think dude, you think Rambo is going to start at attack in the championship game in September? Say it right now. Say it right now.
say it
Is
right
that
now,
what-
man.
Is that what you're saying?
I disagree. I don't think he will play for another team this year.
Okay.
I think he will
All right,
be a
Mitch.
part of the Maryland
Mitch.
Whipsnakes organization.
Mitch, will
But
the
it's a
Maryland
veteran
Whips?
locker room.
Mitch, say it right now, yes or no. Will the Maryland Whipsnakes be playing at Sports Illustrated Stadium in September in the PLL championship game?
I don't think so. Kevin, keep it going.
One other problem I got with them is I think the Atlas are a top 3 team when
Yep, 100%.
Danny Logan is healthy. And I'm fine with Outlaws at 1. I think they've been the most consistent the last three games, and they're coming together. They look scary. The rest I'm okay with. I would have Archers over Redwoods, but that's kind of splitting hairs at that point.
I also do want to say one thing that is of a little bit of not even when Hoagie, you were talking about the Archers earlier, and you were like, when they play the Chaos, like, could we see? I don't think the Archers necessarily want to see the Chaos. I do think, and I'm not fully there yet. Something I'm working on, but something to keep an eye on. Last year, who knocked the Cannons out of the playoffs? Anybody?
Chaos.
I know
Chaos. I wouldn't
Chaos,
just say.
baby.
I think that the Chaos defensive unit as a whole kind of gives Asher and that attack line some problems.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
No,
good thing
I
they're on
agree.
the other side of the
Interesting.
bracket because I don't think they'll be in the championship
Right.
game.
No,
So
I-
the Cans
I
won't have
agree.
to worry about it. Yeah.
Just something that I'm working on. Something that I'm working on. That's,
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Dukes, before we kind of get off into your segment here, and you're going to really tackle this, how much money have we won fading the kids? I meant to ask that in Q1.
like $50 to $200 a game. So
Wow.
How much you
So
say?
I bet
$200
I bet
a
like
game?
50 to 200. Like the most I bet on the year was Chaos plus 2.5.
Look, this
which
is a
was
family-friendly
$250.
show. We went to Ohio State to be making YouTube videos. Can we just get total round numbers here?
Dude, I don't know. I don't collect my money. I mean, how
Just
much?
goes right
Like,
back into the account, Mitch.
Yeah,
Or
like,
it gets
yeah.
re-gambled. he doesn't
Probably,
have a
probably
list.
600.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean,
never
dude,
mind.
I bet
thought
on
it
other
was in the
sports.
thousands.
I'm not like the best gambler of all time. I mean, this is just like kind of like this is like getting like thrown in the
Cycle.
middle of the ocean and be like, I gotta stay afloat. Like when I say fade the kids is making me money, it's like I ain't losing it. Like I got tennis to bet.
Good.
You think I know what the fuck I'm talking about with Wimbledon?
I think going on to this next segment of obviously talking MVPs, have we put any prior bets on who we think the MVP should have been?
No, I can't. It wasn't available to me in New York, which is unfortunate. If I'm in another state that I could find it, I am going to place a bet depending on the odds. But I mean, should I go ahead and give my top 5?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I
Rattle it
also do
off.
want to. I don't know if we could add this to the next graphic. I would like a next man out, first man out sort of situation. Like someone
I don't
coming
know,
into.
man.
It's
a
good.
cut and dry
It's
show.
good. It's good. It's good. It's good.
Mitch, it's
All right,
good,
give us the-
it's good to
Dude,
throw a little season
Mitch,
in there.
Yeah.
Mitch
MVP
thinks because
should've
his
been.
name's on this freaking shirt and like on this show that he can make all the gosh darn rules.
Hey,
Number
let's not forget last week we had just the lacrosse.show. It was just me, Kevin Doogs, and Mitch was glitching out at the Marriott.
Oh yeah, Mitchell Pehlke.
You guys are
All right,
sick.
let's hear the
All right,
rankings.
Dude, who should the
It's
MVP
good.
should have been?
Number one. Michael Sowers back-to-back weeks. I mean, he's done enough to still stay
Interesting.
afloat right now. Still leads the league. I think he's taken over now. TJ Malone as the points has the most points per game. I do
Correct.
think Sowers is number one. Number 5. I think he was the same spot last week. Liam Entenmann. Now, is there going to be another goalie on there? Stay tuned. Number 2. Same spot as last week. He didn't play this weekend, but I didn't forget about him. TJ Malone. TJ Malone has done enough so far this season to stay in that number 2 spot. Number 4. Someone got moved down.
Ooh.
Connor Schellenberger. Still in the race. Still in the
Italian.
race. Still in the race. Has not played a bad game. Has not disappeared for a game yet this year. Number 3. Welcome to the list, Patty Cav. Pat Cavanaugh. I mean, exploded this weekend. We alluded to it last week when we talked about who's the most important player to this Outlaws team. I was like, it's Pat Cavanaugh. He hasn't gone quietly, and then he absolutely exploded this week. To have a list without Pat Cavanaugh in the top 5 right now
Criminal.
would be idiotic.
It would be
Criminal.
idiotic. It would be Clownville.
Because even I was alluding to what those stats about his assist opportunities in the beginning of the year that people just weren't able to capitalize on. People are starting to capitalize. This offense is humming, and he's a huge part. Why? He's the quarterback that this Outlaws offense needed. Now, Blaze isn't on this list. I have Entenmann over Blaze for a couple reasons. One, I think they're both being shelled just as much, and Entenmann's been a way steadier hand throughout the entire season. Like, he hasn't been pulled himself from a game, so that's why I still have him this season above Blaze. If you ask me who the best goalie in the PLL is overall, I'll still probably say Blaze. He's earned that right. He's had two games this year with 20-plus saves, but when you're asking me who's been consistent and who's also getting shelled just as much and having a high save percentage, it's Liam Entenmann. Joe Keegan showed me the stats going into this weekend. It was shots on goals. It was like Liam Entenmann 116, Blaze 110. I got to see what it is after this weekend, but Liam's getting absolutely shelled out there, and it's something that I've been talking about all season long. First man out of this conversation is a rookie.
Oh.
It's a rookie. It's Andrew McAdory from the Redwoods. I think he's been the best midfielder in the PLL so far this year. If you ask about my midfielder of the year, I think it's a 2-man race when it's all said and done between Matt Campbell and Andrew McAdory. McAdory's been that good. He's by far, I think, the most important player to the Redwoods, and he saw the sentiment repeated where Ryder Garnsey was like, he's one of the best midfielders in the league. We should give him this trust that if he just wants to go, he should be able to go. He's the engine that gets that Redwoods team started. So I think he at least deserves to be recognized as a midfielder in this conversation. And if we want to throw a defender in there, we're not going to, but if we wanted to, Arden Cohen's been the best defender in the PLL.
I love both of those takes. I do think, going back to the Entenmann versus Blaze part real quick, I know I was saying what I said about Blaze being so valuable to his team, but let's be honest, MVP does not go to a team that's at the bottom of the league. It goes to a winner.
Correct.
The Atlas put Liam Entenmann as a winning team in a better position to win MVP. As for Andrew McAdory and Arden Cohen, I love those picks. Andrew McAdory has been fantastic. Arden Cohen has been really underrated this year as a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. We were talking about the Pehlke roster, all Pehlke team that I think we're coming out with next week. I would put both of those guys on the all Pehlke team. But do you think he's been more valuable than Dylan Malloy? I think Dylan Malloy's been fantastic this year.
I don't, and that's
Dylan Malloy's been
my
unbelievable.
debate was between Dylan Malloy and Andrew McAdory. I think that attackmen get more chances to produce points, and I think that if you tend to stat watch a little bit, you'll be like, okay, Dylan Malloy deserves it over Andrew Mack. But when I'm looking at the midfielders overall this year, he's the best midfielder. I think that you should throw a midfielder in the race, especially with how he's supposed to produce out of the box and what he can do in between the lines out of the face-off. I mean, he really, it's really impressive, and he's kind of like, I'm not gonna say, he almost reminds me a little bit of a Zach Courier, but better and quicker offensively.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a little more refined offensively. And he also is, you mentioned what he does on the wings on faceoff, he is literally taking a couple of faceoffs every game, which I think, like when Joe Spallina said that on the podcast, like forever ago, I was like, why would he even mention that? It's obviously not going to happen. But like, no, he really actually is.
Well, he used to face off back. Andrew McIntyre used to face off back in the day, like when he was younger. I remember the Face Off Academy National Showcase. He won his grades Face Off 2020 face-off thing back in high school. Like, he's had some face-off experience. So I think that's why Joe said that. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, my first memory at McAdory is him winning a face-off, taking it down and scoring in the first game in Albany. And I was like, yeah, wow, he's here. We all know I love Doogs' take where he thought he'd be a better pro than he was at Duke. And, you know, he's been unbelievable. But also Dylan Malloy's been a stud. Like, think about a guy who maybe the best pickup or, you know, free agency signing out of anyone in the league, if not one of the best. He wasn't even on the team last year, and think about the Redwoods without Dylan Malloy right now. I mean, he's been unbelievable.
Yeah. I think he's in a perfect spot, too, in that he's, like, the veteran leader kind of that team. And, like, there's been so many rosters in recent years where he's just kind of been squeezed out and been the odd man out. Like, I remember even in the beginning of the year last year when he got playing time for the Atlas, and it was like, dude, this guy can still ball. This guy can still bully Ajax Zapatello, who just won the Player of the Year award in college. So it's like he could play at a very high level, but for whatever reason, he wasn't fitting on rosters. And now it's like, here's a newly rebuilt Redwoods roster in need of a veteran leader, and he's the perfect fit.
Yep.
I think that he's kind of like bought 4 more years in the league.
Oh, he's bought so much more in the league. Yeah.
Like, because there's not even a world where you'd be like, well, we're going to draft a rookie next year and like he's going to take over Dylan. It's like, why would you? The only thing that would get like controversial is like if somehow young Joey end up on the Redwoods and people, I mean, let's talk about like for a second, we shouldn't spend time on this, but like you're in a position now where like if Joey started over Dylan Malloy and you're like, well, this is nepotism. Like, look at what Dylan was able to do next year. Like, this is crazy. And then now it starts another whole argument, but that's for next year.
I can't wait to have that.
Dylan Malloy's,
I'm buying stock on that argument.
Pencil it in for episode 53.
The day Dylan Malloy's done in this league is the day they run out of OG Warrior Burns. That's the day he's hanging up the cleats.
Yeah,
that's how long he'll go.
Dude, he just would be like a guy, like you'd see him at Champ Series, you know, won one with the Chrome, was awesome last year with the Atlas, or earlier this February with the Atlas. So, I don't know. I love seeing him get as much run as he's gotten with the Redwoods. It's just been, he's a fun player to watch.
He's definitely a fun player. It's been interesting to continue to watch the Warrior Burns classics. Now to our next segment, buy or sell. We did this last week. You guys loved it. And I'm curious. I want Hoagie. I want you to start on this first one. Buy or sell. The Eastern Conference is the tougher conference.
Buy, double buy, triple buy. If I can do Doogs betting style, 10 times 10 buy. Eastern Conference by far is the tougher conference in the PLL. Look, 4 of the top 5 teams in the league are in the Eastern Conference. The crazy thing this year with the new playoff format, the Whipsnakes are currently 5th in the league right now in the standings, but they would miss the playoffs. Due to that, there's 3 East teams ahead of them in the top 5 standings, so there would be 2 teams below the Whips right now who are in the Western Conference who would make the playoffs over the Whips, even though the Whips are top 5 in the league right now. Look,
Mitch's number 2 team.
Yes, Mitch's number 2 team. The Eastern Conference has more legitimate contenders. The Outlaws, I'm not putting them as a legitimate contender yet because I need to see more. It's only been 3 games, a lot of new faces, younger pieces, right? So the only team with championship pedigree in the West is the Archers. On the other side of that, I see a loaded. Every team in that field is loaded pedigree. You have the Whipsnakes, Jim Stagnita, made the championship last year. Them and the Utah Archers are probably up there for the best program in the history of the PLL. That'll be decided. Whoever, the Archers can get the 3-peat, they probably bump ahead. But from the start, it's been the Whipsnakes, Stags, all those guys. You got the Atlas, who ran last year, number 1 seed all throughout, dominated. You know that when the Atlas are on, they could be one of the best teams in the league. The Water Dogs, again, championship pedigree, been to multiple championship games, won one. And then obviously the Boston Cannons have yet to get it done in the actual season, but back-to-back Champ Series teams, we know they have a roster to compete. So the East has more contenders. The East has a harder battle. I think it's not even close, honestly. If you were looking at the Eastern Conference, is much tougher than the Western Conference. But the Western Conference got much. I will say, with the Outlaws Surgeons now and the new look Outlaws team, the West looks like it's going to be more competitive than we thought, especially after 2 weeks. But East by far ahead of the West in terms of competition.
Dukes, Kevin McDougal, are you there?
Mitch, good to see you again. I'm going to take I'm going to change up the wording a little bit here, okay?
No,
and I'm going to
Are you buying or selling the East?
You're buying or selling?
Are you buying or selling?
I'm selling.
Wow.
I'm selling
So
for this.
The West is the tougher conference?
Kevin McDougal.
No. I think when you say tougher, I'm going to take it like this. I think it's a tougher conference to make the playoffs. I think that's going to be a tougher race at the end. I think
fair,
that when you look at like the top heaviness, when you tell me where's the best teams in the league, they're on the Eastern Conference. When you're talking about the toughest conference, who's going to be the toughest to come out to get the number 1 seed in the West, and what's going to be tougher to make the playoffs in the West? It's going to be the Western Conference instead of the Eastern Conference.
The East is a tougher team. I get what Dukes is saying, though. It's a more competitive race in the West.
You don't get it. You don't agree with him. You can say I don't agree with you.
I do. I get his point. His point is saying
tougher race versus tougher teams.
He thinks that the Whips are clearly probably out of the playoffs, and that top 3 is 3 of the top 4 teams in the league.
No, I just think it's going to even itself out at the end.
Incorrect.
In the East.
So are you buying? Kev, are you buying or selling?
Last year, Kev.
I'm buying this one. 3 of the 4 teams with a winning record are in the East. The East went 2-1 against the West this weekend. I know everyone wanted to point to the chaos game, but the New York beat Utah and Philly beat California. And if you're looking at the bottom feeders in each of these two, it's pretty clear. Everyone says, oh, chaos. Don't let them sneak in. Don't let them get hot. Like Maryland, to me, was in the championship last year. They're way more dangerous than Carolina.
Another Whips fan.
I think Carolina.
I'm buying the stock. And I'll tell you why I'm buying the stock. Because I love the East Coast grit, Northeast. You're living in the city, dudes. You know what it feels like. I'm in potentially one of the most dangerous cities of them all. I look at it from a standpoint of...
Because you watch The Wire?
These guys. These guys. Northeast, grit. They know how to play tough, hard-nosed, Big Ten-style lacrosse. And I think I'm buying it because it's the truth. California. Utah, Carolina, the whole thing. I'm buying it. Eastern Conference is the tougher conference.
You might be onto something there because you're comparing the Eastern Conference. Since we got conferences, actually, no team from the Eastern Conference has won, so it is Big Ten ball in a little bit, what you're saying.
You knew he wasn't going to agree with me.
I was going to argue that the Atlas and the Water
goes.
Dogs couldn't be further from Big Ten ball. I think they're the complete opposite. I would put them in the
think they're gritty
ball
dudes.
category.
I think they're gritty dudes.
I think Philly's a bunch of gritty dudes.
I just
100%.
yeah, I mean.
Do you think they're regular season teams, though?
The Eastern Conference teams?
Like, it's the Eastern all regular season teams?
No. I think there's 3 teams that can legitimately... I think 4 teams... I have 3 teams that could legitimately win the championship. I don't think the Whipsnakes, when I close my eyes, I cannot see them winning it.
I
think they're very good. I think they can make a run. I think they could get over these teams, but the other teams I think have a little bit more championship caliber at this point. Again, it kind of goes back to what I think about the Redwoods. Like, it's cool when you're a young team that's overperforming expectations, but I don't really will trust the young guys to get it done when it takes to get over the hump in a championship level.
No, I agree.
Going back to the Western Conference, and I said tougher to make the playoffs really quick. I do want to say I do like the idea of the chaos making the playoffs. I think they are going to play spoiler to someone throughout
Redwoods
the year.
out.
I don't know how it's going to go down, how it will shake out, but I'm not going to... I might buy stock on them making the playoffs.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's only 5 teams legitimately who can win a championship at this point. Now that you said that, Dukes. To me, it's going to be Boston, Philly, Atlas, Archers, Outlaws. One of those 5. I don't think I kind of like Duke said, when I close my eyes, I can't see the Chaos winning it, I can't see the Redwoods winning it, and I can't see the Whipsnakes winning it.
And we're going to talk about Philly really quick. Can we get into maybe who we could expect to see from the Water Dogs after All-Star break?
Is someone coming back?
There's rumors spreading on the internet. Mitch, I know, has the camp been talking about it? Do the little kids know?
The kids know. The fans know. He might be in a new video here soon. But Dr. CJ Kirst is coming back to our lineup. We're going to see him pop on a jersey here soon. The hand's all good. The kid's back. But where are we going to put him? Dr. Dukes. Dukes, if you're in Tierney's seat, where are you putting CJ Kirst?
I think I'm running him out of the box to start.
Okay.
Why? I think that the repertoire that Taylor has made with Michael Sowers at this point, I don't think this is something that you have to like hold on to and you have to like, this is what we're doing, this is the only answer. But week 1, get him back on his feet. Like get like the legs under him a little bit. I'm not saying like it's gonna be like some huge difference for this Water Dogs team, but just get him in the offense, get him back on the lacrosse field, get him work him in, and then if he needs to go down, move him down. I mean, I don't know how you move McCardle. McCardle is still a top 10 player in the PLL in my opinion. Same with Sowers. I kind of like Taylor off ball right now. That's the one guy that you kind of have to fill in for CJ Kirst, but Taylor doesn't demand the ball down there, so it's gonna change the chemistry. I think if you just add CJ with Sowers, so I just don't mess with it too much for the time being.
Okay. We'll find out here soon. Couple weeks.
What
Don't
do you guys
forget about
think?
it.
I'm with you. In the first game, I let him run out of the box because, again, like
Right.
he hasn't run
Right,
around in a
exactly.
month now. So, but I do think he needs to move to attack before the end of the season.
Agree.
This is a number 1 overall pick. He made it for a reason, and you got to find his spot. Like, to me, I also want to find that out going into next year. I don't want that to be a question mark. What's CJ Kirst's role heading into year 2? I kind of want to know that. And you're right, though. I love what Jake Taylor does off the ball, and you can't take Kieran McCardle out. And, of course, Michael Sowers, it's a non-starter. So I think you got to work him in, and as he's running through the box, you take note of who does he play well off of, who could probably come off, or who can we bump
Right.
to midfield here, and take note of who he plays well with, but use a game or two at midfield to figure that out. But I do think you have to move him to attack at some point.
He's also like the most versatile player, so like you can probably
Yeah.
work him off ball. And just when we're talking about what are they going to do next year? It's like next year. I love I think McCardle might be the most underrated professional lacrosse player ever. Like I don't know how people don't like. It's crazy when I'm like Kieran McCardle, top 12, top 10 player in the PLL. People be like, what? It's like just look up the stats that he has.
Yeah.
Every year he produces. The
Stud.
dude is a stud.
Stud.
But next year, if you don't win the championship this year, you should potentially look to like be like, all right, we're going young.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a bunch of teams here, like looking at that, like, can I potentially trade for Kieran McCardle next year?
And
Like,
you're getting a
he's
win now
guy
player.
who can still play. Yeah, win
Yeah.
now player like that. Like he's a stud. Like I agree with Doogs. That guy is so underrated. He's always has been the whole career. I think he's just been overshadowed by Michael Sowers and this whole situation with how good Sowers is and stuff. But I mean, he might be the best Robin of all time, like secondary player like that. Like dude's a stud. But he could definitely be a 1 on a team. I don't know. I mean, obviously he can still play at that level, but a couple years ago he totally could have been a 1. Just kind of with the
You
situation.
could make the argument he was the 1 on that championship team. I know
Yeah,
he didn't win
you
MVP,
could. You could.
but he was.
I guess he
was
just
that-
won't ever
that
get that
dude.
credit or respect just because of
Because
the
he went to
name
St.
factor.
John's.
He's a Johnny's in the Queens.
He's in the city, baby. All right, let's keep it going, though. Buy or sell? Cannons made the right move trading Pat Cavanaugh.
Who wants to take it first?
I'm buying this. I think this was one of the trades where, you talk about it worked out for both sides. I think this was a perfect trade for both sides. I think it worked out on both ends. For me, when I look at it from the Cannons perspective, right, like it was basically they had to pick, all right, are we going to roll with Asher Nolting for the future? Or are we going to take Pat Cavanaugh? And, Coach Holman felt like Asher was a big piece of that team already, and he felt like, Asher had an MVP level season last year. I think he finished 3rd in the MVP rating. So, he was kind of the guy, and he was kind of going to be one of the face of the Cannons, and he wasn't going to fit, so they traded Pat over to the Outlaws, and Pat's going to have been a perfect fit for the Outlaws. The Outlaws are a team who really didn't have an identity. They had Brennan that they drafted last year, but like we talked about it last year, a ton of new guys. Graham Bundy, Zawada's no longer on the team anymore, but they drafted him. He was one of their main guys last year. Weirman, so many guys like that, right? So Pat Cavanaugh really going to need to come into the Outlaws, be one of those focal points to, all right, we don't have a – kind of like the Redwoods this year where like with Chris and a lot of those young rookies, like they're building that team from the ground up. You see how it is now. So I think it benefited both parties of it. I'm buying it. I think it was the right move for me. Hindsight 2020, people might say, dang, the Cavanaughs, like the Cannons might wish they had Pat, right? Because we've talked about, is there another level of the offense that they just can't reach? Are they capped? But no, I think they made the right move. I think if you look back on the trade, I think both parties are going to be happy with how it turned out.
I'm buying this one as well. I do think it came down to Asher or Pat Cavanaugh. And the Cannons, I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years They look at that and they go, gosh, Pat Cavanaugh looks a lot better than Asher Nolting in 5 years from now. But I also think that the Cannons window to win is more like winning now and like breaking up the culture that, Asher's a key piece of what they're building in Boston. So keeping that together, and it's not like Asher was underperforming. He's an MVP candidate, or at least was entering the season. But then you also have to factor in what they got from the trade, which was that 3rd overall pick, which they eventually traded to the Redwoods to get Owen Grant. And in my opinion, Owen Grant has been the best LSM in the league this year. Legit difference maker for them. So I think as great as Pat Cav has been, I don't blame them for moving forward with Asher and ultimately turning that Pat Cav pick into Owen Grant.
Yeah. 100%.
I want to just copy and paste what Kevin just said, and you also got Coulter. You got Coulter Mackesy, kind of as like an aftermath to that trade as well. So I mean, how could you be mad if you're either side? To be honest, I do agree. I think that at the end of the day, they just had to decide between 2 MVP quarterbacks or just 2 MVP caliber quarterbacks. How could you trade Asher at the end of last year and be like, all right, we're gonna trade, kind of risk our culture for Pat Cavanaugh based off what he's done in college, and we don't really know how he's going to gel into this offense while we get rid of Asher. While Asher, in his second year in the league, was top 3 in MVP voting, and then last year was top 3 in MVP voting. So, like, we would be sitting here as podcasters being like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
So, I think that it was the best thing for Pat Cav, best thing for the Outlaws, best things for the Cannons.
Yeah. No, I think so, too. To echo all you guys, I think it was the right move. Right? I think at the end of the day, he obviously fits in best with Outlaws. And, they took the Asher route. Obviously, he hasn't been playing this well, this year. But Asher's Asher. Once he gets his stuff together, I think, he'll be obviously dominant. Let's go into our last buy or sell. Buy or sell. The Atlas should move Matt Traynor to attack.
Under 1:30. Traynor's got the hot hand. He feeds Dixon on the alley-oop.
Give this kid the ball. Give him the ball. Watch the accuracy of his feet. Matt Traynor saying to the world, like, I can do this. I've been doing it every game.
Can we just get him the ball, please? Guys, let's just get that man the ball. Get that man the ball.
I feel very strongly selling this one, to be honest. Like, I think Matt Traynor did exactly what he was supposed to do as a midfielder who was matched up against a short stick. All of his points came against Piper Bond and Connor Marr. And that is what unlocked Xander Dixon. Xander Dixon, everyone has been kind of like locked off on him, not letting him get those off-ball looks, working on the crease. He's been shut down this year. Matt Traynor's the first guy they've got that's been able to consistently draw the slide and hit Xander on the crease for the goal. So if you move him to attack, yeah, maybe you have a Dodger who can beat that lock off, but then you're moving Xander to midfield and you're asking him to maybe beat a short stick. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. It's a move to solve a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, can I carry off of what Kev just said? And I think that it's almost like what the Archers have to an extent. Just because Grant Amon's one of the best midfielders, like, out of the box, and he's getting shorties that he's never seen probably since he was in, like, 7th grade. And all of a sudden, just because he's producing for the midfield. I think that we fall in love with when a former attackman produces at the midfield. We're like, they got to go back to attack. It's like, no, we should just keep it where they're comfortable right now because it screws up everything. Like, even if you move, the Archers want to move Grant Amon. They're like, all right, we're going to run Mac outside of the box. It's like, why would you do that? That's kind of what they'd be doing to an extent with Xander Dixon. So I completely agree with what Kev said. I'm selling that hard.
Yeah, I think you would actually have to remove Xander Dixon from the formula there or something because you'd need a guy who would
you maybe have to put Shelley out of the box, but why would you do that at this point? So there's no right.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hate even saying this, but there is a world where like there's like if you're Matt Traynor, could you like would you even consider trading him to a team like the Chaos? Like just for like an insane cap, like when you just have an embarrassment of riches. Or is he?
I wouldn't touch Matt Traynor.
Right.
Okay.
This is a question where it's like, would you put him in the untouchable category at this point?
I wouldn't. He's not untouchable, but he's hot. I wouldn't trade him.
I would maybe say he's a first team All-Pro this year midfielder.
You were talking earlier like who the best midfielders are, and when you said Andrew McAdory, I'd put Matt Traynor right up there with him, which is amazing. The 2 rookies.
It's McAdory, Campbell. And probably then Matt
Traynor. That was my 3 for the Pehlke team. Not to give it away for next week, but we'll see.
Matt Traynor too. Matt Traynor went right
All-Star
in.
game. I'll be
Matt
there.
Traynor right in, Mitch. Final Four championship weekend, right to Albany and playing right away. That guy had no break.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too that flies into like if I'm a coach and I know that my guy has played obviously all the way to championship weekend in college and they're going straight into the league, like I think I'm more prone to putting that guy in his natural habitat because that's what he's been doing every single day for the past 4 to 5 to 6 months. You know, kind of going back to what we talked about with CJ. Like that's a little bit of a different story with Sowers and Kieran back there, but like I don't know, like I'm just more comfortable in having those guys, especially coming right off college ball, right in their natural habitat. And obviously, you know, we talked about the highlight reel plays after that Notre Dame game, but like I think there's going to have to be some movement down there. And obviously after All-Star Week, we might see something. So we'll stay tuned for that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question as an attack? Or like, if you're attack, if you're like Matt Traynor and you're like at Penn State, I played attack, but the ball was always in my stick. I was the initiator at Penn State. Do you think it would be different if he's like playing attack, but he's more of an off-ball guy? That he's actually would not be comfortable down there because he's an off-ball attackman.
I think he would feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, he's one of those guys that he knows the ball flows through him. That's obviously what happened at Penn State. But he knows when he gets the ball and the opportunity, he can make something happen. I think that's the difference with him.
That's fair. And that's why I never understood this. And I'm sure that you were kind of like this invert midfielder at Ohio State.
Yep.
Where I always was like, I don't know why some people like ego-wise, like in high school, would be like, oh, I don't want to run out of the midfield, like when they're like the invert attack. It's like you're getting a shorty. Like Matt Traynor would be like, if I heard these talking heads being like, you know, like I want to get to a midfield, I'd be like, why would I want Jared Newman slashing me? Like Piper Bond's like an incredible athlete, but like he can only hit me so hard with a stick.
Yeah. Exactly.
I want the shorty every day.
It's an ego thing. I mean, obviously, you look at the stats. You're on attack. You touch the ball more, so more
100%.
opportunities. But at the same time, like being able to dodge on a shorty and the amount of more reps you're getting from being a midfielder in college to then a midfielder in the PLL with how fast the game is, like I'm right there with you, Dukes.
Yeah, I think Matt Traynor is probably just like, yo, I love the PLL. Like, shorties. They're asking me to dodge with the shorty. Like,
he's licking his chops.
He makes it look so easy and so nonchalant too. It doesn't even look like he's trying to like the BTB a couple weeks ago. Then the underhand flip. It's like wow, like
he's done it twice.
And we also are being like disrespectful in the same extent to like Costabile. Like he's performing just as much. It's like last week it was Costa. This week it's Matt Traynor. It's like
Costabile's having the best season of his professional career, and he's getting overshadowed by a rookie.
I'm like saying like, oh, no brainer, Matt Traynor first team, but it's like Costabile probably deserves to be in the conversation
Best
more
season of his career.
if not. You know how it goes. It's such a reactionary league. You forget about the Whipsnakes 1 week. I probably had them 3 last week. They didn't play, so now they're at like 7. It's all reactions.
Yes.
So
I also think there's so much like in lacrosse too in general. It's like it's not so. It almost is never like when the head-to-head matchup. And it's like the number 1 guy beating their number 1 guy. It's always like our 5th guy's got to be better than their 5th guy, or our 6th guy's got to be better than their 6th. Like that's what really wins and loses.
Pop ups the 𝐓𝐇𝐄 𝐋𝐀𝐂 highlight tape on the screen right now. All right, obviously we got the All-Star Weekend next week. Dukes will be on site. If you see him, please ask him to hit the frog. He's got one of the best frogs of all time. But before we started the PLO season, we did do preseason predictions. And I'm going to run you guys through what we said, and we're going to react live on camera. Hoagie, for your championship matchup and who you thought was going to win, you said Archers over the Cannons. It's kind of crazy. It seems like we might disagree. Initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I felt a lot better about that pick in Albany. We were sitting in the chairs in the locker room picking that pick. Yeah. But, honestly, I'm not going to get off the Archers bandwagon yet because I think that's one of the teams that kind of like you with Stags, Mitch. I just trust the Archers. I trust what Coach Bates has. They have the championship pedigree. I feel like it would be wrong to, change them and hop off that wagon. And on the flip side of that, same thing with the Cannons. Like, the Cannons have been the most consistent team all year. Like, all we think about right now is them losing the Chaos, which we've had as the worst team in the league all year. But the Cannons have been the most consistent. The Cannons have won the last 2 champ series. And the Cannons, to me, are hungry. They want to make a championship run. So I wouldn't be surprised if Boston ends up there, especially after how last year ended with a terrible loss in the quarterfinals in Gillette Stadium. They've been knocking on the door, just like Kev said. They're trying to win a championship now. They're in championship now mode. So Yeah, am I the most confident? Am I as confident with that pick now as I was when I picked it? Absolutely not. Would I probably change both those picks if I was picking it right now? Yeah, but I'm sticking with it still. I'm still having the Archers over the Cannons in Sports Illustrated Stadium in Jersey when we're there in September.
Interesting.
Corey, please make a Skip
Yes.
Bayless arguing himself style edit of Hoagie earlier in the episode to now.
Yes.
Yes.
What?
I know.
You saying like the Archers are dead.
No, I didn't say they were dead. I said I'm starting to have concerns
Here
they're
we
not
go.
putting it together.
Clock in.
How about this? How about you were saying that a couple episodes ago that the Redwoods were contenders. You still think they're contenders?
Still think no, they're not contenders now. No.
I was hoping that wouldn't come up.
That this is the kind of thing like you said, Dukes. It's like you gotta. Everything changes in this league so fast, week by week, that it's like we overreact, we underreact about everything. Like last week, yeah, I probably would have had the Whips higher too, and then now all of a sudden you're like, oh, we didn't see him, put him back down at the bottom of the totem pole. Same with the Redwoods. I'm a Redwoods fan. That's my squad. I was trying to drink that juice after 2 weeks. Looking back on it now, I'm like, wait, they beat the Chaos and the Outlaws without McNaney or Bernhardt, so those are their only 2 wins. But yeah, I don't know. The Redwoods are not true contenders.
I'll even say it. I have the Redwoods over 3.5 wins, and I'm a little scared at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
Interesting.
I gotta check their schedule, but I can't imagine that it's gonna be some bruises.
Well, it's setting up perfectly. Tank for Joey.
But then we have to get into that argument.
Then we got to go down that rabbit hole.
Again, let's save that for episode 53. Let's keep it going, though. Kev, you had Atlas over the Archers.
I'm sticking with it. I told you, I think the Atlas are a top 3 team when Danny Logan's healthy. I'm with Doogs. Entenmann is in the MVP conversation. And I said earlier, Archers, they still have the defense. Defense wins championships. This time, it gets you to the championship game, but I'm sticking with Atlas over Archers. Outlaws are the team that scares me the most, though.
Interesting. Okay. All right, we're sticking with it, Kev. I like you holding your ground. 10 toes down. Dukes,
Yeah.
You said Water Dogs over the Archers.
I actually didn't. I switched it up in the episode. I took Bill Tierney Coach of the Year, which I'd stick by. I took Michael Sowers MVP, which I'd stick to, and then I switched it to Cannon's Championship, and I would also stick with that.
For the record, we had that on the graphic. On the graphic,
Yep, we did.
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
It's Cannons over Archers.
Fact check Dukes. Don't even try him because he will be ready and locked and loaded.
Yeah, I mean,
like
you're
that.
like, hey, Dukes, come on, get your notes out of the way. Like, hey, come on, stay with it. I'm ready to literally go at you any single second. You try to bring something on me. You try to bring a stat to me.
In New York City that see Dukes at a bar. I want you to face them head to head and be like, I want to have an argument with you and record it because it'll make the way on the show.
They do. They get my grill.
As they should.
As they should.
As they should. Him losing the argument.
Yeah,
Repeat.
Yeah. It's a bunch of like guys that went to Ohio State. They're like, oh, remember when you were riding Notre Dame so hard? It's like, yeah, they won the ACC. What did you guys do? Lose in the first round to Notre Dame by like legitimately $1 billion?
It's just sick. It's sick. It's just
really
unhealthy.
It's sick. Mitchell, what was your picks?
Atlas over Redwoods.
Big Ten champs, baby. Right here.
Look, I still can see the Atlas. I don't think it's going to be over the Redwoods, I'll be honest. I really don't, but I could still feel the Atlas. I've said it almost every episode. I feel like that roster, in my opinion, is one of the best in the league, and I think when they put it together, they put it together. Do we see that every weekend? Not really. But there's some weeks left in this league, so we'll find out.
Exact. We're midway
Five
through
to be exact.
midway.
We're halfway.
Mitch, when that team clicks, they click. That's all I'm going to say on that.
They click.
They remind me of Ohio State. Like when they play the really good ball, like they win the Big Ten. Like,
this guy just goes jab,
and we got things going. You know what I'm saying?
I'm good. I'm at my best when I'm in.
You know what? I cannot wait next year for the Ohio State Dayton basketball home and home series. These next 2 years.
Hogan!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, he's so new to Twitter. Oh my God! You got sent-tailed. Oh
Imagine
no!
going to Dayton.
You got fake John Rothstein. They're not even playing each other.
Was that fake?
That was fake. You got your first Twitter moment. Oh, poor kid.
I got fake. I got fake.
ChatGPT.
No.
Oh, that would have been sick,
Hogan
dude.
on Twitter.
I was hyped for that. I saw that and I got pumped.
Yeah, Hoagie, let's stay on that real quick. I've been getting a lot of guys in real life saying, get your boy Hoagie, get your boy Hoagie. He's the chat GPT of lacrosse Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. Can you talk to me? What's the situation?
I have no idea. People think my stuff's ChatGPT, and if they want to think that, they can. I've never ChatGPT
Prove that it's not.
Thing in my life.
I've never seen ChatGPT and Hoagie in the same room.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
I can't
I've never
confirm.
ChatGPT'd it. If you see from time to time there may be a little run-on sentence or a missed comma, that's your proof right there. It's not ChatGPT because that grammar would be spot on if you want to.
I like that.
That's good evidence.
I might
That is
ask
good.
ChatGPT. I think that I'll send a screen recording maybe later.
Some burner a couple weeks ago, literally, I literally wrote a tweet in my kitchen and tweeted it, and then it had the thing underneath. Someone photoshopped exactly what I tweeted on a thing that said, like, what's the preview for Atlas Whipsnakes? Kev said a couple people fell for it that he heard.
It was the Philly weekend. I was at there, and like I was with people from the league, and they were like, "Look, like James just got caught." And I was like, "No,
Got
dude,
caught.
yeah,
Got caught.
He
I was
doesn't
like,
actually
dude.
use ChatGPT."
Yeah, like what?
He is a nice guy. He is a nice guy. All right, let's keep it
I
going.
think
though.
that really quick. I think I'm going to try to get ChatGPT to be like, I'm going to ask ChatGPT, and I'll send a screen recording being like, how would James Hogan tweet about the PLL All-Star game this weekend, and then try to see what they can come
Yeah,
up with.
try.
The
see
one
what
person
it
asked
says.
Grok. That was hilarious. Like,
Yeah,
Grok, does James Hogan
People
use
have asked Grok
ChatGPT?
like 4 times, and they're like, "No, this is not AI generated." I'm like, "Dude, I don't use ChatGPT." But if you want to think it out there, Burnerverse,
Hey,
keep
You're
shooting
not
away.
doing
I love
anything.
it.
You don't got haters. Congrats, V. You've made it. MVP picks. We did this earlier in the year. We're going to continue to go this. I'm going to start with Kev and I because we had the same pick, and that was Liam Entenmann. Kev, are we still confident in that pick?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I said it earlier when Doogs was doing his top 5.
Yep.
Entenmann is in the race. Also, a big thing I want to double down on what he said is he's getting absolutely peppered. I'm also pointing because he's above me. I don't know if like when we make the episode he's going to be above me, but Liam Entenmann has been peppered. Him and Blaze, the two of them are in a different category when it comes to how many shots I've seen. So I'm all in on Liam.
I'm right there with you. You know, Dukes, who should the MVP should have been? Probably top 5 lacrosse videos of all time. He said it. Liam's still in the race, and I agree. I got to go with my dogs on the show. Now, Hoagie, do you remember who you picked?
I picked Asher.
Thoughts?
Asher's not going to win MVP. That's just the facts. He's just been different in terms of this year. He's had more assists than goals, and you know
3 goals.
What?
3. He's
Yeah,
got 3
goals. So, look, Asher's been a little bit different this year. Asher hasn't had his best year this year compared to what his previous years have been. That's just a fact. But, you know, still a great player in this league. Still going to be one of the keys to the Cannons going on a deep championship run here. But, unfortunately, no, he's not going to win MVP this year. Michael Sowers is going to win MVP. And from week 2 on, I think after we saw Sowers in Philly, and during that Philly weekend, I was like, Sowers is going to win this MVP. I'm very confident Sowers is going to get this MVP. So
Why are you so confident?
I just have a feeling. I feel it. I close my eyes at night. I see
Talk to him,
Sowers
Kev.
winning the
Talk
MVP.
to him, Kev.
Well, let Dukes go because Sowers is his pick.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I really like the Michael Sowers pick at midway through. So, Mitch, there's 10 games in a season.
Guys,
5
don't
are
you
played.
think it's
We're
kind of
midway
interesting?
through. There's All-Star break.
Don't you think it's kind of interesting how it's like we just had the Who Should the MVP Should have been brought to you by Kevin McDougal. His number 1 pick is Mikey Sowers. He picked Michael Sowers at the beginning. Like, see the game he's playing?
Wait, what's the game?
Mitch,
you idiot?
Sowers,
It's
Mitch, if you polled the league, I guarantee if you did the MVP voting
Chat
right now.
GPT, I'm kidding. I know. We're set. I know. Dukes, talk to us. You picked Michael Sowers. You're obviously in the lead here. How did you know?
I mean, what do you mean, how did I know? He's one of the best players in the league. I mean, 2 years ago, he was voted by the players as the number 2 player in the league. So I just think that I expected them to have a bounce back year. And if they were going to have a bounce back year, it was going to be because of Michael Sowers quarterbacking this offense, kind of being able to open up potentially with CJ Kirst being mixed into this offense. I think that his Robin this year is Thomas McConvey. And Thomas McConvey as an off-ball player, that's also, I was kind of playing around with this. And I don't think they should do it. But I was thinking this. What if you move Jake Taylor out and you put Thomas McConvey at the X-Attack? And you had him off-ball? Like, would that unlock Sowers to a next level? Because that seems to be his favorite weapon at this point in the season. And I don't know if it's just from the midfield spot or whatnot, but McConvey playing his Robin role with Sowers is something very interesting that I didn't really expect to see.
I was going to say something crazy too. Like I know I said Sowers was untouchable, but if you look at how similar he is to Grant Ament and how good Grant Ament has been out of the box as a midfielder, and you see where Sowers does a lot of his damage dodging from up top this year, I don't know. Could Sowers randomly run through the box like Kirst gets some runs down there?
I think Sowers.
It's not the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I think it would be crazy to do that in an MVP season that he's having right now. To be like, nah, we're gonna take you and move you to. Like,
We're set.
Yeah, Grant Ament needed a little he had
needed
the
a
down
reset.
year. And
He
then-
needed a reset.
Yeah, exactly.
He needed to rejuvenate himself. But I think, too, if it's not Sowers, I'm very confident it's going to be Sowers as the MVP. I think his hardest competition is Pat Cavanaugh here. I really do. I think Malone's going to get dinged by the Whipsnakes. Probably not. We said it goes to winning teams, right? So, if we're looking at trajectory right now, like who has the most trajectory in the league, it's the Outlaws. Who's been the hottest player in the Outlaws? It's been Pat Cavanaugh. So if there's one guy that I think could really get in this and really make this thing a move, it is Pat Cavanaugh, based on what we've seen the last couple weeks and based on where we can see the Outlaws going with this new look team with only 5 games left in the season.
All right, look, I like Sowers as an MVP candidate, but I don't think he's a runaway the way James is kind of describing him right now. Honestly, I think the more that there are more names in the mix, the better the chances for Liam Entenmann. The more that there's not a runaway guy like Jeff T trying to break the record. If you look back at 2021 when Blaze won MVP, there was a bunch of guys at the top that all had 30-some points, but there was no one that was way ahead of everyone. So the goalie is kind of almost like a tiebreaker in that case. I think if TJ Malone, Pat Cavanaugh, and Michael Sowers are all in it, maybe even Jeff Teat mixing it up too, so there's another Atlas guy, I think they might go with Liam Entenmann. I think
the only way Entenmann wins it, though, is if the Atlas get the number 1 seed to win the regular season Eastern Conference Championship. I don't see Entenmann getting it without that.
I think Michael Sowers is he'll get the award if he leads the league in points and he's on a 1 or 2 team in the East. I don't know how he wouldn't get it. He's going to be one of those guys that's just going to be he's so good. He's been so consistent in this league. He's been one of the best players. He deserves an MVP award. Kind of like how Pat Spencer, I wouldn't say, 2019, if I remember correctly, wasn't his best season in college. It was just kind of he's been so good, so consistently. He can't leave college without a Tewaaraton. I kind of think that, there's always those guys that, should get an MVP at some point. I just don't see how Sowers finishing top 2 in points doesn't kind of win.
Yeah, Kev, I kind of think the point that you just made of if it's a lot of guys fighting for points, I think that bodes more well for Sowers to win it rather than Entenmann to slide into the conversation.
I do agree. And also, Blaze was he was
Blaze
kind of
was on a
also
crazy
on this
level
tear
that year.
of having the craziest goal
That was a
year in,
crazy
year out. It was he also kind of had that all right, he deserves an MVP at some point. Kind of same with the one thing that I found interesting is Trevor was 100-1 odds wise to win the MVP of the year he won it. Pat Cav was 100-1 entering the year. I would like to see how big of a push Pat Cav could make, given the amount of weapons that the Outlaws have. They're not going to need Pat Cav to have these ridiculous points week in, week out. They can it can come from wherever. We even said last episode before this, if there's going to be an MVP, could it be Jared Bernhardt instead? But now it's it's clearly Pat Cav.
Well, let's be real, too. Winning an MVP, right? Obviously, you have to have the stats and the numbers and the play to back it up, but a lot of it, too, is hype and steam and how much push do you have behind you and how, big are you doing on socials? How much of a star are you? That's just a fact, whether you want to admit it or not, right?
100%.
Pat Cavanaugh is going to be in this conversation. If he keeps putting up points and the Outlaws keep winning, he's going to pass guys whether he should be ahead of them or not. That's why I think for Sowers' perspective, Sowers is a mainstay star in this league. Like Duke said, he's been knocking on the door to get one for years. If he leads the league in points, I see no way that he's not holding that trophy up at the end of the year.
I will push back on one thing you said. I do not think that you need to have a social following to be.
No, I don't mean a social following. I more so mean you need to have buzz around you and hype. If you're in the backdoor shadow, no one's talking about your team, no one's talking about your stuff. You're not going to be in the what?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kieran McCardle, exactly like that. The Outlaws are the hottest trending team right now. They're going to be in the front of everything you see, right? Pat's been the best player on the hottest team in the league at the All-Star break. That's going to put you straight into the conversation.
He has by far the most touches.
He does.
The best player on the Outlaws over the last 3 games is Logan McNaney. It has been Logan McNaney. Pat Cavanaugh was the best player last weekend. For their winning streak, it's been Logan McNaney.
100%.
I just have to say
percentage every single game.
You know what? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm still going to say it's Pat Cavanaugh, but who's been the most critical to the winning? It is Logan McNaney. That change has been more of a lift than I think the difference between him and Owen McElroy has been huge. But I don't know how good the Outlaws would be without Pat Cav at this point.
No, that's true. I also think that he's also the type of player that when he's on a clicking team, he's the biggest beneficiary.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think when they're flowing, they're flowing. I agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. But, like, I would almost say that was more of, like, an off-ball guy. Like, what do you mean by the sense of beneficiary from, like, team clicking?
When their offense is moving, when they have multiple guys that need to be respected, Pat Cavanaugh's the guy in the gray area who gets a lot of the goals and a lot of the assists to the other guys who are dodging, making plays off of rushed approaches and stuff like that. I think also Pat Cavanaugh makes incredible plays, like the one that got called off, where he did that all himself. The Logan Musnauskas was in the crease, you know the play I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where he gets a cause turnover to the ground ball and the goal. Like, that's all Pat Cavanaugh. That's an incredible play. That's all him. But I also think, like, when he's on an offense that's humming, this kind of was my Jeff Teat take last year. I was like, was Jeff Teat really the best player on the planet, or was he the beneficiary of the best offense?
Shelly Dixon.
That's fair. I just think at this point, like, it's just so clear who the Outlaws think is the guy that runs their offense, and it's Pat Gavin, and everything kind of points to that. It's the touches, it's the shots. Like, he's creating opportunities for himself and others. I think that it's so important. I think that he didn't have a good rookie year, given where he was, and I think that people could fall into the sophomore slump that we talked about with TJ Malone a couple episodes ago. And for Pat to kind of take last year, not going to the offseason, feeling down from himself, and coming back rejuvenated and finding this, like, love for lacrosse again and, like, winning culture, I think he's just been so critical for the Outlaws. And I still think that Brendan O'Neill, like, has not even been unlocked.
Yeah.
And
I think that's also when he's scariest.
I think he's best in these moments.
I would be terrified if I was like, I'm buying all the Outlaw stock I can possibly buy.
I think he
100%.
loves that the spotlight's on Pat Cavanaugh and on Jared Bernhardt.
Right, because this is exactly what I'm saying. Like, I love Pat Cavanaugh. I love that he's, like, in at this point in the MVP conversation. Yeah. But, like, he's not going to be needed to get 8 points every single week for the Outlaws to be good. Like, that's what makes this team so scary.
We'll find out here soon after the All-Star break. It's halfway through this year. Don't forget about it. And the fun magic continues next week, baby. July 4th on a Friday, you can catch Kevin McDougal with an ice-cold frosty beer in his hand watching the PLL and WLL skills competition at 6:30. Later that night, we have the WLL All-Star game, and then on Saturday, the game, the PLL All-Star game, East versus West, 1 p.m. Kev, what will you be doing at 1 p.m. At the All-Star game?
Well, I'll probably be posted up in the press box. I've never been to Kansas City. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about the city, but I also don't know anything about the venue. So I'm excited to see what the setup is like. I loved Louisville the past 2 years, so very high bar for Kansas City.
Yes.
But I'll be locked in. We usually get a couple cool clips. Like, the guys are loose. We usually get some fun moments. Marcus Holman doing the Langtree assist. I'm sure he'll attempt one if he's on the All-Star roster this year.
I mean, who could forget the legendary mic'd up moment last year when Shelley crossed up Rowlett and he had that freaked out on Mike?
I wasn't going to bring it up.
That was, yeah, I guess. I don't know. That was an all-time clip for me. It's like the rookies
I was a
out
judge
here.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was a judge 2 years ago.
That was a.
Why did you get the boot?
Why did I get the boot?
Kai the goalie took
I
his
quit
spot this
Barstool
year.
Sports. I got nothing to bring to the table anymore. They
Was
want
it-
to push
was
me
it-
off the Pehlke show.
Was it
It's like I
Doogs?
got
Was
nothing
it-
to bring to the table anymore.
Doogs, was it you got the boot or was it a RJ? Hey, we need a what is it? A judge right now, like a minute.
We need a judge.
judge.
Hey,
I think it was like we need a
Dukes.
Big Cat retweet ASAP.
I love
that meme of you like holding the
Yeah,
10.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
classic.
I think I'm gonna meme it and be like this weekend, be like, make me a judge again.
Yeah. What's your prediction
Make me
for
a judge
fastest
again.
shot? What will the fastest shot be?
Ooh,
He's
you know
running
what?
it back.
I got
running it back.
a spicy little take. And people
Oh,
are gonna
no.
hate this. I think
I already know.
ban long poles from the fastest shot competition. Don't want them in.
Wow.
Or separate categories.
Right.
Like, come
I
on.
don't want.
Yeah.
I respect the guys with the fastest shot with the short sticks, and if I'm only gonna give the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show should sponsor the winner with the short stick, and I think that's gonna be Graham Bundy.
I like the Bundy pick. That's a good pick.
Slings it. I like that.
Campbell.
Campbell's a good pick, too.
I mean, you
Nah,
can't
I don't
go
like
wrong.
that. How about who's got the slowest shot. I want to see like who has the slowest shot in the league. Like you have to wind up and shoot it, but who's got it? Because like, does Pehlke shoot faster than them? Like I'd like to see that. And if you
I shoot 100.
No way.
No chance you could shoot 100.
Like, why is that a surprise?
You were 75 at camp when we gunned it.
Yeah, it's a fake gun. Like gun.
It was a fake gun. It was a fake gun.
All right. How about this? If you touch
90.
If you touch 95. If you
I think
touch
90.
95. Can we do the wings challenge? Can I like buy myself wings, by the way?
Dude, hold on. Now that you brought that up, where's his wings?
We haven't been in
Order
person.
your
We're in
wings.
person. We got the wings.
Order me
All right,
wings.
next time we're in New York, I'm
I
getting
was
the wings.
begging you. I was begging you. I said, give me the wings and all of
You know what? Next week, let's just DoorDash Doogs wings. So in mid-episode, he'll get a ring. And we think,
mid-conversation.
But anyways, I'll do, if you touch 95 in person, I'll come to Long Island Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show, or we'll do it at the semifinals. We'll shoot live for the people.
I like
We'll bring
that.
the camera. We'll get it live.
The problem I'm kind of interested is because we did a video the other day breaking
Yeah,
24 lacrosse
you
world
shot
records
75.
in 24 hours, and I
yeah.
shot 91.
See, Hogan, he likes to bust your chops, being like, admit when you're wrong, admit when you're
Yeah,
wrong. He likes
yeah.
pushing
I
the
know,
buttons.
I know,
But
I've
when we
never
ju-
shot
when
100.
we finally
Thank
say,
you,
like,
dude.
You were just
Thank
lying?
you, dude.
shoot live.
Thank you.
Well,
All
it
of
was
a
a
sudden,
fun
Mitch is
joke.
like, ah.
It's a fun joke. You guys can laugh. It's not illegal.
All right, Mitch, how about
But I
this?
think I can hit
If you don't break 95, you're doing a
I think I can
shoey.
hit
95 or a shoey.
Shoey,
Lock it in.
shoey,
Shoey.
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 I'm doing
Shoey.
75-day hard. Can't do a shoey.
Oh, please. 75 hard, no shoey. That
You're
is
doing
absurd.
75 hard in the middle of summer?
Fine, you have to
That's
drink
how
milk
bad I
out of the
want it.
shoe.
That's how bad I want it.
Fine, yeah. Warm
milk.
yeah.
Warm milk,
Yeah,
baby.
Listen to Milkman.
When did
We
this
just
come
have-
to the clown, the Mitch Pehlke show
Wow.
on the Mitch Pehlke show? It's clinically
He's now calling
sickening.
himself the
But I
Mitch
think
Pehlke
that
show.
one of a guy that we had on here, Matt Nessler, we got a little birdie, a little wordy from our producer Corey that we might have a hot take, a Pehlke hotline caller.
Hey guys, Matt Nessler here. Chatham class of 2016, Cabrini class of 2020. Just calling in for the 100th time here, hoping to, sneak on to the episode. I got a relatively hot take, and I got my champion. So I'm quite literally choking on my own breath here. My bold take, my hot take, hot-ish, is Logan McNady's Rookie of the Year. If the Outlaws keep winning, he's the difference maker in that cage. He's playing unbelievable. Shout out the attendees around the globe listening to this. There's hope out there to win a Rookie of the Year, and hopefully Logan McNady can show us that. Secondly, champion this year, the Boston Cannons, headed by Colin Kirst between the pipes
Shocker.
and the rest of
Shocker.
the hoodlums outside
Shocker.
of the pipes. It's just their year. It's destiny. I know there's a lot of great games going on right now in the league. A lot of 3-2, a lot of 2-3 in the record books. But I think the Cans pull away there. So, hopefully I can hear this one on the pod. I love you guys. I appreciate you giving me the time. But this is like my 97th time calling in, so hopefully I can just sneak in there. Again, this is Matt Nessler, Cabrini. I love you guys. Peace.
Mitch, what was the mix-up there? He was
Is
calling
that
the
a
wrong
college?
number or something. It was going to the right. It was.
Dog, headline,
I don't know.
Matt
I don't know.
Nessler
At the
gives
end of
up
the day.
on CJ Kirst.
Yeah, there was no CJ Kirst or
5
Pollard.
games
Where's
isn't
the CJ Kirst?
enough time for him to win Rookie of the Year?
Wow. That's not a hot take to me at all.
Yeah, it's not a hot take.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a very. I think McNady's right up there, as if not, he might be the leader or one of the top 3. He's definitely in the top 3.
No, I don't think that's that hot of a take.
Yeah, it's top
No.
2. I think it's actually.
Let me ask you guys this.
It's the coldest take
Outlaws
I've heard.
win out.
It's a
Outlaws
colder
win
take
out.
than it is hot.
Tepid.
He did have a little hot but cold take, and then he said it, so I kind of know where he's coming from. But Outlaws win out. Is there any doubt that he doesn't win Rookie of the Year?
Outlaws went out like they go 5-0 the second half of the year.
I mean,
Yeah, they win the whole thing.
Yeah,
Rookie of the year.
he's a rookie of the year.
Yeah,
It's a
100%.
lock of
He's
the
the favorite
century.
right now.
I think if like, I don't even think if I think
I'll
if
tell you
Matt
what,
really
if he
even
won-
becomes
if
like the
they
best midfielder, like the McNady. I think it's honestly McNady to lose at this point.
If they went
I
5-0,
I
won
expect
out,
him to go down.
yeah, if they went
Sorry,
5-0 and won the rest of the year, like I would have seen that coming. I think so.
All right, let's keep it going. Last segment, best segment, start, bench, cut. This week, we're doing 2-point shooters. Matt Campbell, Graham Bundy, Romar Dennis. Who we got, Doogs? I'm gonna have you start off. You've been great this episode, man. I love having you on this show. You know that? I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart.
Mitchell Pehlke, thanks for having me on the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show. This Start Bench Coat sponsored by the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show, and we got Mitchell Pehlke right here. So Mitchell Pehlke, I'm gonna tell you right now who it is. I'm gonna start Graham Bundy. I think Graham Bundy seriously might be one of my personal favorite shooters in the world.
You said it about Dom Petromala earlier this year. Talk about the stroke.
Dude, stroke is unreal. And I'll never forget being at Hofstra for the quarterfinals. Notre Dame is just tearing apart Georgetown. And I'm not kidding. Graham Bundy should have just gotten to the point where he should have just shot it from anywhere because Liam Entenmann was on that day. For every shooter that was not named Graham Bundy, he couldn't save Graham Bundy's stuff for the life of him. Graham Bundy was on a new level. That's when I was like, this guy is clearly a top 3 shooter in the world. I'll take Graham Bundy right away. Because if you could do that to a goalie like Liam Entenmann, how locked in he was in that tournament run, you'll always be there. I'm going to bench Romar Dennis just for
oh my God.
Historically how he's been. He's a top 10 2-point
Campbell?
shooter.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to have to cut Campbell, but I would say if you're doing current time, I'd probably say Campbell over Romar. But I think it would be so disrespectful to not have Romar in the top 2 historically. And I just saw you just saw what happened when people disrespect a historic great.
Vets.
Like Blaze Riorden, you get ripped apart on Twitter by him and Jack Rowlett.
Screenshots are on the TV right now. James Hogan, what do you got?
2-point shooter, start bench cut today. The most deadly 2-point shooter in the world is Matt Campbell. That is the guy I do not want to see shooting a ball from 2 if I'm a goalie. Matt Campbell, I'm definitely starting at his 2-point ability. He's a guy I feel like almost every week, he's got to have a 2-pointer, maybe every other week at least at worst. I don't know how many he has this year, but I feel like he's always either letting him fly or getting him in. Matt Campbell to me is the best 2-point shooter in the current time right now. I'm benching Graham Bundy, again, amazing shooter from 2, hammer of a shot, and he's shown, I think he's got 3 so far this year, and even last year in his rookie year, he was already dialing it up from 2 from the minute he stepped foot in the league, and I'm cutting Romar Dennis. I agree with Doogs. If you're talking like you think about 2-point guys, who's been doing it for a while, Romar, but right now he doesn't scare me as much as those other 2 do if I'm a goalie in net. I'm every time Matt Campbell touches the rock, I'm scared he's going to pull up from deep on me. Graham Bundy, you never know where he's going to pull up. I'm starting Campbell, benching Bundy, and unfortunately going to have to cut Romar there.
I just don't know who can score 2s like Romar can. Like on the run, like going sideways and just
yeah. I mean, when Romar's on from 2, he's on from 2. But
he's on.
If I'm telling you who's deadly and who I'm scared of, if I'm a goalie, I probably don't want to see Campbell or Bundy. I'd rather probably see Romar before those other 2. If we're just talking those 3 as of now. But I agree, dude.
Well, I got to start
Romar needs some respect for what he's done for his whole career from 2-point range.
Yeah.
I got to start Romar. Dude, when he's in the flow state, there's no one better. Righty, lefty, ripping it from range, on the run. He can do it any which way. That's why I'm starting him. But if he's not in that flow state, I got Matt Campbell on my bench, so he's coming in. Yeah. Matt Campbell, I got him above Graham Bundy for a couple of reasons. I think Matt Campbell's the hotter of the 2 right now, coming off what we saw at Champ Series going back to February. He can also create his own 2-pointers, where I think Bundy is more of an off-ball shooter, gets it on the backside after the defense is moving. And Bundy peaked more last year when he led the league, broke the record, I believe, for 2-pointers in a year. He had 6. At least for a rookie, it was a record. But this year, he's only shooting 15% overall. Matt Campbell's shooting at a much higher rate. He needs to take more 2-pointers. So start Romar. If he's not hot, then Matt Campbell's going in. And sorry, Graham Bundy, you're getting the cut this week.
So we all have different starters, Mitch. So you're going to be the deal breaker here because each of us picked a different starter.
I'm big on, I think, Hoagie, you said it, and Kev, a little bit on your end. I'm starting Romar. I mean, the legacy. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, even he would having deep balls in college.
Respect the vets, Mitch. Respect the veterans. Respect the veterans in this league.
Pause.
Bang, bang,
Pause.
bang time.
Pause, man.
Deep balls.
I'm starting, then I'm benching. Graham Bundy.
You're cutting Campbell?
Just the
crazy.
The stroke that he's got. Look, he's a nice guy, and his release is just nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Talk to us,
what it
dude.
is for me. It's when you score the two, how well do you look doing it?
Yeah, it has some swag points. You look at Kevin, you look
yeah.
at James Hogan, they look like twins. They don't know what swag is. Dukes, me and you, we know all about swag.
Mitch,
All right,
I
how
always say
about
you're a
this?
good
How
guy.
about this? How about this? The legendary, for all the guys, people out there, you know that take the legendary Max Kellerman first take quote where it's like, fate of the universe, one shot's on the line for the world. Who you taking to hit that shot? Which one of these guys you're telling me you're not taking fate of the universe on the line? I'm taking Matt Campbell to hit that 2-pointer for my team.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. They're
I
not
don't
even
think that's the
showing
right conversation. We just talked about legacy. Like, legacy's
You guys are all taking Romar. Fate of the universe on the line, one shot from 2.
I'm
No,
taking
I'm
Mac
starting.
O'Keefe.
From 2-point range?
Dude, I'll take Mac
Kev,
O'Keefe
who are you taking?
anywhere.
Fate of the universe
I
right
told
now.
you.
All of us. 2-point shot. Aliens are coming down from space. Fate of the universe is the line. One shot or we're all done on this earth. Who's taking that 2-point shot?
I gotta go with Romar. I told you, man. He's my starter.
Mitch?
I like that. Hey, sticking to his guns. Sticking to his guns.
Mitch?
Something Hoagie
Fate
doesn't
of
know
the
to do.
universe on the line. Who you taking?
I'm picking Romar. I'm sticking to my guns. Look, like same thing last year. You know, Whipsnakes, got beers on the line. I'm still picking them.
Got beers
This
on
year,
the line?
a little bit different. We got Chewies on the line the whole bit, okay? Doing 75 hard. You know what I'm saying, Dukes? And then I'm cutting Matt Campbell, okay? Look, at the end of the day, he's a very nice guy. Potentially, you know, like you said, Dukes, a lock for Olympics. I still think that is very true. But again, for what we are talking about right now, my picks are my picks.
Can I also, before we end the show, I just would like to, we were talking about the chat GBT. And have you guys checked your phones at all?
I checked, and I thought that was a James Hogan tweet.
So
What?
if we could pull this up, I asked ChatGPT. I asked
I haven't
ChatGPT
been
during
on my
this
phone.
episode if they could concoct a tweet that sounded like James Hogan reacting to the All-Star game, and if we could just pop that up right now, I sent it to the group chat.
I didn't see it. Let me see.
I love the hashtag at the end. Lacrosse lives here. Is
Wait,
the
Hoagie, we gotta
hashtag.
read it in your voice.
Yeah.
All right, the PLL All-Star game was incredible.
No,
Fast
a
breaks.
louder voice than that. Like, give us your you're about to broadcast. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The PLL All-Star game was incredible. Fast breaks, filthy goals, and some of the best talent in the sport on full display. The fans showed out, and the vibes were elite. Shout out to the league for putting on a show. This is how you grow the game. Hashtag PLL All-Star. Hashtag Lacrosse lives here. I'll tell you what, that does sound like one of my tweets. I'm not going to lie.
Hoagie, you gotta send that tweet at some point during All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
Just mix it in there somewhere.
But then everyone's going to come at me and be like, he's ChatGPT, and look. But I'm going to have to throw that out there. I feel
Dude,
like that's so funny.
Hogan, it's all in the name of engagement.
Yeah.
In the
That's
name
all
of
it is.
engagement.
Welcome to
You
social
know what?
media.
That tweet's
And
going
we're
to go out there, and then Grok's going to go to work. What was that the Twitter AI thing or whatever?
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
I
so
love
funny,
that.
though, Dukes.
We're going to end with something a little bit different. You know, we started doing this past couple weeks, and Pehlke's sniffing for the first W. Ball knower of the week. We got producer AP, producer Corey on the ones and twos. They thought of a lax rat fact that we need to know. We don't know what it is. I haven't won one yet. I think Kev is the only guy that's won them, right?
I got half a point.
Hoagie and I split last week.
Yeah.
I also split
Okay.
2 weeks ago. They always forget about me.
Yeah, and I haven't won yet. Neither is Dukes. Producer Corey, what do we got as the ball knower to end us out?
All right, ball knower of the week. After shooting 109 miles per hour, who's the only face-off athlete ever to win fastest shot in the All-Star game?
Dude.
Greg Grenlian.
Nope.
Anthony Kelly.
Bingo.
I should have guessed that.
You can just name meatheads.
I should
actually was gonna say,
have guessed that.
I
I thought
almost
that was
wanted
too
to-
obvious. I should have just said it.
Who was the fan?
I'm a huge
that-
Ohio State fan. That's how I got it.
The problem is Kev's got 15 years on us. So it's like, it's not even right.
You don't even have to, like, I didn't even know that. You just have to think, like,
Meatheads.
face-off guys. Who's relevant in the league right now? If you haven't noticed, they're, like, making these themed. They're, like, themed
Yeah,
as to
they're
what's
relevant
going
to guys
on.
in the current
You think
day.
so?
You're
It
right,
helps
you're
you
right.
figure it out. It's like when you do a crossword puzzle or Jeopardy and there's a category.
I
so
know.
you
I'm a
can, like,
crossword
have a
puzzle
train
god,
of thought.
Mitch.
Hey Corey, could we just do an STX sponsored like full questionnaire? So
What
Mitch
was
can-
the
Ask
first
the next question,
STX head
Jackson. What's
ever
the first
released,
plastic
Mitch?
head?
First STX head ever.
1970 STX Sam. Bingo. See you guys next Wednesday. Peace.